All these words are hellos in different languages, sure display variations. But the feeling that comes across to each one of us is that of well-being, brotherhood, and unity as a global family. As we come live to you from Sangamner, Maharashtra, joined by participants across 20 countries and reaching live to thousands of viewers through social media platforms, I, Utkarsha Rupavate, take great pleasure in welcoming you all once again to the Jaihind People's Movement Virtual Global Conference 2020, coming together for peace, harmony, and progress in commemoration of the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Hope the last week has been good on all of you. Your friends, family, and colleagues are doing well. Unfortunately, some of us are still facing grief and pain, especially owing to the COVID-19 pandemic that has gripped the world. As mentioned prior, we pay our homage and dedicate this Virtual Global Conference 2020 to all those brave hearts who have lost their lives to this deadly virus. And we also dedicate this to all the frontline COVID workers who continue their work extremely hard to save the human race from a complete wipeout. The last segment of our conference, dated 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of October, focused on various subjects of importance. The relevance of Mahatma Gandhi ji, healthy society, women's empowerment, democracy, were discussed at length by dignitaries like Honorable Sam Pitroda ji, Honorable Frank Islam, Honorable Basat Thorat ji, Kumar Ketkar ji, Priyanka Chaturvedi ji, Joe Webster, Carl Sturner, and many more esteemed dignitaries from around the world. Dr. Sudhirji Tambe, the founder president of Jaihind People's Movement, played a perfect host and shared his thoughts and that of the movement. As we move ahead to the second segment of this virtual global conference, I introduce to you the topic to the first session tonight. Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quote, "Literacy in itself is no education. Literacy is not the end of education and not even the beginning. By education, I mean all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. This is the key to the work that the Jaihind People's Movement has been engaged in the sphere of education. Pre-primary school setups, post-school programs for added skill development in children, and preparing the youth of today for the competitive exams has been their focus for the last few years. As we move on to the inauguration of this session, I request my tech team to start the session with a song. हे गाणं कुठलं आहे? शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली. आपल्याला हे गाणं सर्वांना माहीत आहे. आदरणीय ज्योतिताई म्हापसेकरांनी लिहिलेलं आहे गाणं. आपण हा कार्यक्रम त्या गाण्याने सुरुवात करणार आहोत. मी माझ्या टेक्निकल टीमला विनंती करते की त्यांनी ते गाणं इथे सुरू करावं.
शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली, 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 शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली. पैसेवाल्या पोरांनी जागा बळकावली, पैसेवाल्या पोरांनी जागा बळकावली. गरीबाची पोरं बघा कशी खाली राहिली, गरीबाची पोरं बघा कशी खाली राहिली. मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती, मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती, मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती, मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती. शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली, शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली, शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली, शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली. वाटेत येती बाई ही किती जंक्शन, वाटेत येती बाई ही किती जंक्शन. कधी पैसे पैसा आणि विघ्न कधी मध्ये येईल लग्न मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती मुली किती कचडती निम्म्या खाली उतरती शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली लाडकी ही मैनी म्हणाय साळत घाल मला लई वाटत ग मैने मला पण मी जाते मजुरीला तू गेलीस साळत तर कोण बघल धाकल्याला मैने रडली धाई धाई काय करू मी बाई 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 शिक्षणाची गाडी धाड धाड घरावरून जाई मैनी घरातच राहिली शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली 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 शिक्षणाची गाडी चालली
महात्मा फुले म्हणाले, विद्येविना मती गेली, मतीविना नीती गेली, नीतीविना गती गेली, गतीविना वित्त गेले, वित्तविना शूद्र खचले. इतके अनर्थ एका अविद्येने केले. A 19th century revolutionary social reformer from Maharashtra who pioneered and campaigned for the rights of girl child education quotes, absence of education leads to absence of wisdom, which leads to lack of morals, which leads to lack of progress, which leads to lack of money, which leads to lack of oppression of the lower classes, and all this at the cost of just absence of education. With this note, we move forward to the introductory of this session. That's how we intend to engage with our esteemed speakers tonight, to understand how education can be designed to make it more corresponding to the real situations, especially in the context of children from underprivileged and vulnerable sections of our society. I now invite my co-moderator, Honorable Sandeep Bagchauरे जी. संदीप भाऊ जिल्हा शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण संस्थेमध्ये विषय सहाय्यक म्हणून आहेत आणि महाराष्ट्रभर एक प्राथमिक शिक्षक म्हणून, क्रियाशील प्राथमिक शिक्षक म्हणून त्यांची खूप ओळख आहे. मी आदरणीय संदीप भाऊंना विनंती करते की हा पुढचं सेशन त्यांनी मॉडरेशन म्हणून हेल्प करावी.
लॉट ऑफ थँक्स उत्कर्षजी. जय हिंद पीपल मुव्हमेंट्सच्या वतीने आयोजित व्हर्च्युअल ग्लोबल कॉन्फरन्ससाठी आजच्या या सेशनमध्ये मी सर्व मान्यवरांचं मनपूर्वक स्वागत करतो. जय हिंद पीपल मुव्हमेंटचे संस्थापक आदरणीय डॉक्टर सुधीजी तांबे हे आपल्याला प्रथम सत्रात मार्गदर्शन करणार आहेत. ही इज द प्रेसिडेंट अँड फाउंडर ऑफ द जय हिंद मुव्हमेंट अँड देन ही इज द मेंबर ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव्ह काउन्सिल ऑफ महाराष्ट्र अँड इज अ व्हेरी गुड सर्जन्स. He do practice in at Sangamner. I am requested to Dr. Sudhijit Tambe to address the gathering. Dr. Sudhijit Tambe.
My heartiest welcome to all the dignitaries, to the experts and the viewers who are virtually attending this global conference held by Jaihind the People's Movement. Today is the 4th day of the conference and 7th webinar on quality education for underprivileged children. Firstly, I would pay my respect and gratitude to Mahatma Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule, राजश्री शाहू महाराज, महाराजा सयाजीराव गायकवाड, कर्मवीर भाऊराव पाटील, दोंडू केशव कर्वे, and all other great personalities who have worked tirelessly for the education of underprivileged children. Today, we are delighted to have esteemed guests who have long experience in the field of education. Vivek Sawantji, Ajay Podarji, Bausaheb Chaskarji, Arif Rahmanji from Pakistan, Sabrina Chaudhary from Bangladesh, Isha Agarwal, and Agnes Sipianski, she is from Poland, आणि संगमनेरची सून आहे, तर त्याही याच्यामध्ये भाग घेणार आहे. Jaihind People's Movement has a dream to create healthy society, and world-class educational system is very important for and prerequisite for healthy society. Jaihind People's Movement, since its conception, has given importance and priority for educational activities, especially for rural and needy students. We strongly believe that education is the tool which can change the world for better. It is the tool which can fulfill our dream of equal society. It is the only way to empower the socially depressed class. And when we look at the scenario of education in India, we have two distinct pictures. One picture which makes us proud, the number of engineers. We have more number of engineers than any other country, even the developed nations. We are number 3 as far as technical personnel is concerned. We have IITs and IIMs and many other institutes. Many of them are of international standard. They give professional education, medicine, pharmacy, management, many other faculties. On the other side of the picture is not very satisfactory. Rather, it is gloomy. We have 6 million children out of school and 20 million children who are not getting the pre-primary education, and approximately 2.9 students dropouts before completing their elementary education, that is up to 5th standard. If we just take a review of the public schools or the government-run schools or the Jilla Parishad and municipal council schools and aided schools, we don't have proper infrastructure there. We don't have good laboratories. We don't have libraries. We do not have sports facilities. And hence, of course, we are not going to discuss today these all issues because education itself is a very vast subject. And government is to play a major role. On different platforms, we definitely suggest government and we pursue government for fulfilling these all deficiencies. As expected by the Kothari Commission and even in the new National Education Policy, government has said that they will be allocating 6% of the budgetary provision for education. We hope for the best, but today we are going to discuss what we as the society or as an individual or as an NGO can do to give quality education to the students from the underprivileged class. Because we see that there are, as I said earlier, there are two classes. The affordable class, children of the affordable class, they go to English medium schools. There they have CBSC, ICSC, IB, and all various types of boards of international standard. They have very 5-star amenities, very good infrastructure, small, very few number of students in each class. There are 2 teachers for 1 class. There are special teachers for music, special teacher for sports, special teacher for other extracurricular activities. They have got good laboratories, even laboratories for mathematics, science laboratories, computer laboratories, and so on. And so our children who go to the public schools, they don't have all these facilities. So we, as an NGO, we should think of what we can do for these children. Jaihind People Movement has 3 programs initiated 3 programs. First is pre-primary education. We all know pre-primary education is very important. 90% of brain develops before 6 years of age. And it has been proved that the children who get the proper pre-primary education, they do a much better performance when they are getting their higher education. And so we should have a very good pre-primary education. I would say world-class pre-primary education, even for the children who cannot afford to go to the English medium schools or they go to the Marathi medium school. This is one program we have initiated. The second program is after-school program. As I said earlier, the children who go to Marathi medium or regional schools, they don't have proper infrastructure. The environment at home is also not very encouraging. So to ignite their minds, we have after-school program where the children are, we try to clear their concepts. The teacher, the experts, they try to clear their concepts. They try to teach them clear thinking, creative activities, communication skills. So we try to bridge the gap between them and the students who are taking education in the English medium schools. And third is we try to teach them, we develop a program to teach them to speak good English. Because they can't go to English medium school. They are not very good at English in the English language and they feel inferior. And the parents also have a great wish that I should be able to send my child to the English medium school. But because of their financial condition, they can't. But it is not necessary, rather it is not, we can't assume that English medium schools, they give very good education. But it is absolute that our children should know good English. And that's why we have this Let Us Speak English program for these children. And fourth is that research. Of course, this is a very ambitious program that we are intending to promote girls in research fields. These are few activities we are running for the educational activities. So today, we are looking forward for your guidance, and we are very eminent people who have got good experience and they have worked their whole life in the field of education. They can definitely guide us. And not only Jaihind, but as I said earlier, many social workers or social institutes, they should come forward, because fortunately we have got a very good virtual medium, so that by virtual medium, by online facilities, we can definitely teach these students, and we can definitely bridge the gap which is created because of the lack of facilities. And that is our intention of today's seminar. And hence I look forward for your guidance. I'm very much thankful for all the experts and the dignitaries who are present here to guide us this evening. Thank you very much.
A lot of thanks, Dr. Sudhirji Tambe. देशामध्ये एकूण शिक्षणाच्या प्रक्रियेसंदर्भानं गुणवत्तापूर्ण शिक्षणाची किती नितांत गरज आहेत हे आपण अधोरेखित केलं. देशातील वेगवेगळ्या शिक्षणाच्या माध्यमांमध्ये सुद्धा आज खूप अंतर पडत आहे. जिल्हा परिषदेच्या शाळा, महानगरपालिकेच्या शाळा किंवा शासकीय अनुदानित असलेल्या शाळा, इथे न मिळणाऱ्या सुविधा आणि खाजगी शाळांमध्ये मिळणाऱ्या सुविधा यातलं आपण अंतर अधोरेखित केलं. त्याबरोबर अनेक शाळांमध्ये शिक्षक नाहीत, ग्रंथालय नाही, प्रयोगशाळा नाही, अशा सुविधा नसताना देखील या देशामध्ये एकाच वेळेस आपल्याला वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या विषमतेला सामोरं जावं लागत आहेत. आणि या दृष्टीनं आपण अत्यंत गंभीरपणानं हा विचार प्रतिपादन केला. पूर्व शिक्षणावर अत्यंत नितांत देण्याची गरज आहे. त्याकडे बघताना 90% मेंदू जर आपला पूर्व शिक्षणावर विकसित होत असेल तर तिथे ऍक्टिव्ह बेस्ड लर्निंगची गरज आहे. ती आपण अधोरेखित केली भूमिका अत्यंत महत्वाची आहे. अनेक पालकांनाही वाटतं की आपली मुलं इंग्रजी माध्यमात गेली पाहिजे, पण आर्थिक परिस्थितीमुळे ती मुलं जाऊ शकत नाहीत. आपण जी चिंता व्यक्त केली आहे, मला वाटतं ही अत्यंत महत्वाची गोष्ट आहे की तुमच्यासारख्या एका लोकप्रतिनिधीनं, जे आज लेजिस्लेटिव्ह मेंबर आहेत, संसदीय विधिमंडळाचे सदस्य आहेत, त्यांनी ही चिंता व्यक्त करणं ही मला वाटतं अधिक महत्वाची गोष्ट आहे. आपण निश्चितपणाने या भूमिका घेऊन पुढे जाणार आहोत. जय हिंद लोक चळवळ या दृष्टीने मला वाटतं महत्वाची भूमिका पार पडेल. पुन्हा एकदा मी तुम्हाला धन्यवाद देतो आणि यानंतर मी दुसरे वक्ता असलेले सन्माननीय विवेकजी सावंत यांना निमंत्रित करणार आहेत. मी त्यांचा परिचय फक्त थोडक्यात या ठिकाणी करून देतो. ही इज द फॉर्मर ऑफ मॅनेजमेंट डायरेक्टर ऑफ MKCL सिन्स 201 from 219. He is the successfully integrated the network of 5,000 MKCL center in Maharashtra, as well as serve the his school education at Nasik, and then he college education at Pune. He is served the teacher at physics and electronics as well as computer science at Pune from 1971 to 1987. As he is the deputy director of Symbiosis Institute of Computer Studies Research Center. He got the many prizes from different institute. I request to Vivekji Sawant, please come on the stage and give the address to us.
माझा आवाज येतोय सगळ्यांना ऐकू?
सर येतोय आवाज.
ओके. आदरणीय डॉक्टर तांबे, उत्कर्षा, नंतर श्रीयुत वाकचौरे आणि इतर सर्व इथे उपस्थित असलेले शिक्षक वृंद आणि अनेक देशातून आपल्याबरोबर इथे पार्टिसिपेट झालेले आपले पार्टिसिपेंट सगळ्यांना मी विनम्र अभिवादन करतो. मला डॉक्टर तांबेंनी या कार्यक्रमासाठी आमंत्रित केलं याबद्दल मी मनपूर्वक धन्यवाद देतो. मला किती वाजता थांबायचं हे जरा कळलं तर बरं होईल. आता 7:22 झाली आहेत.
तर आपल्याला एक 15 ते 18 मिनिटांचा वेळ प्रेझेंटेशन.
ओके, चालेल, थँक्यू. मला कारण आधी 1 तास सांगितलं होतं, पण मी ॲव्हरेज करतो. माझा विषय आहे भविष्यातील शिक्षण कसं असावं. भविष्य कसं असेल, कसं असलं पाहिजे याविषयी आपण थोडंसं बोलूया. भविष्य नक्की कुणाचं? तर आपल्या मुलांचं आणि आपल्या प्लॅनेटचं, पृथ्वीचं. माझ्या स्लाइड्स तुम्हाला दिसत आहेत व्यवस्थित?
हो सर,
येस,
एकदम क्लिअर.
हां, तर आपल्याकडे 2035 साली साधारण 150 कोटी लोक भारतामध्ये असतील आणि ते कशा कशा प्रकारची कामं करत असतील हे थोडक्यात मी तुम्हाला दाखवतो की ज्यांच्यासाठी आजपासून आपल्याला शिक्षणाची पुनर्रचना करायची आहे. त्यातले 15 ते 20% लोक अतिशय सर्जनशील, नवोन्मेषी आणि कल्पक असे असतील की जे नव्या प्रकारचं एक अर्थव्यवस्था भारतामध्ये निर्माण करतील त्यांच्या ज्ञानाधिष्ठित कृतींमधून. आज तुम्ही ज्यावेळी मोबाईल फोन विकत घेता त्यावेळी तुम्ही 2.5 लाख पेटंट्सची रॉयल्टी अमेरिकेसारख्या देशाला देतात. त्याच्यातून काही मक्तेदारी कंपन्या तयार होतात. हे लोक अशा प्रकारच्या गोष्टी भारतामध्ये नवोन्मेष घडवून आणतील की ज्यामुळे देशाला एक खरोखर ज्याला अलीकडे आत्मनिर्भर वगैरे म्हटलं जातं ते होण्याची शक्यता निर्माण होईल. तशा प्रकारचं शिक्षण आपण देणं आवश्यक आहे. जवळजवळ 45% लोक हे उद्यमी आणि उत्पादक अशा प्रकारचे असतील आणि ते ही विविध कामं करत असतील. मग ते शेती असो, उद्योगधंदे असो, अशी विविध कामं ते करत असतील. त्यांना आपल्याला अधिक चांगलं उद्यमी आणि उत्पादक होण्यासाठी कशा प्रकारचं शिक्षण देता येईल याचा विचार हा आपण करणं आवश्यक आहे. त्याचबरोबर 15 ते 20% लोक हे जागतिकीकरण स्वीकारलेले आणि जगभर स्थिरावलेले असतील. जसे आता 20 देशांमधून लोक इथे बोलत आहेत. सो आय एम टॉकिंग अबाउट those who have accepted globalization and the Indian diaspora. Indian diaspora is going to be the largest diaspora anywhere in the world. So we have to prepare our children to become part of the international community and accept the cross-cultural diversities and sensitivities. मातीशी नाळ घट्ट जुळलेले आणि दूरस्थ राहणारे. दूरस्थ म्हणजे मोबाईल फोन असेल त्यांच्याकडे, ते भौगोलिकदृष्ट्या दूरस्थ असतील असे लोक असणारे. मोठ्या प्रमाणात शिक्षणातल्या स्पर्धेला विटलेले असे लोक ड्रॉपआउट होतील आणि उशिराने उमलतील. अशी 15 ते 20% लोक असणार आहेत. आणि शोषित आणि वंचित असे एक 45% लोक असणार आहेत. हे ग्रुप्स ओव्हरलॅपिंग आहेत, असे त्याची सिंपल ॲडिशन होत नाही. त्याचबरोबर दुसरी तिसरी संधी घेणारे, पुन्हा पुन्हा वेगवेगळा रोजगार निवडणारे आणि वेगळी पर्यायी जीवनशैली आणि जीवनदृष्टी बाळगणारे असे एक 15% लोक भारतामध्ये असतील. हे सगळे लोक तुमच्या वर्गात एकाच वेळी बसत आहेत आणि यांना तुम्हाला विकसित करायचंय. तर खरं उचित आणि उत्तम शिक्षण हे यांच्यासाठी काय असेल, तर आपल्याला जवळजवळ 30 ते 40 कोटी लोकांना शिकवायचंय. द प्रॉब्लेम इज बिगर. अधिक जागतिक दर्जाचं शिक्षण द्यायचंय, बेटर. कमीत कमी शुल्कात द्यायचंय, चीपर. तत्काल शिक्षण द्यायचंय, फास्टर. सर्वदूर उपलब्ध द्यायचंय, वायडर. आणि डीपर पर्सनल एक्सपिरियन्स, व्यक्ती अनुरूप शिक्षण द्यायचंय. जरी ते सामाजिक सांस्कृतिक वास्तवामध्ये होत असलं तरी ते व्यक्तिगत असतं. शेवटी शिक्षणाचा अनुभव हा आतमध्ये खोलवर कुठेतरी येतो. तशा प्रकारचं शिक्षण द्यायचंय. मग याच्यासाठी उपाय काय? तर तुम्हाला बी स्मार्टर अँड बी वायझर. तुम्ही चांगल्या शिक्षणाचा विचार निवडा, जो गांधींनी दिला. नई तालीम सारखा विचार निवडा. कन्स्ट्रक्टिव्हिस्ट पेडागॉगी घ्या. ज्ञानरचनावादी शिक्षण प्रणाली स्वीकारा आणि समुचित तंत्रज्ञानाचा उपयोग करा. काही गोष्टी जशा आपण पुढे जाऊ तशा आपल्याला अनिवार्य, अत्यावश्यक आणि काही श्रेयस्कर असतील. अनिवार्य गोष्टी कुठल्या आहेत, अत्यावश्यक कुठल्या आहेत आणि श्रेयस्कर कुठल्या आहेत? तर इथे आपल्याला दिसतंय की महामारी, जागतिकीकरणामधून भरडून निघालेला गरीब वर्ग आणि बदलत्या हवामानाच्याशी लढणारा शेतकरी वर्ग, त्यांची सज्जता कशी होईल? पर्यावरण संवर्धन आणि पुनरुज्जीवन. आपली सगळी पृथ्वी डॅमेज केलेली आहे पूर्वीच्या पिढ्यांनी आणि आपण सुद्धा. पुढच्या पिढ्यांना ती रिपेअर करायची आहे. त्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला सज्जता निर्माण करायची शिक्षणातून. सस्टेनेबल लाईफस्टाईल आणि बायो इकॉनॉमी आणि लोकल लिव्हिंग इकॉनॉमीज, ह्या स्थानिक जैव अशा अर्थव्यवस्था कशा निर्माण करता येतील याचा विचार आपल्याला करायचा आहे. आपल्या राज्यघटनेमध्ये ज्याची विजन मांडलेली असा एक लोकशाहीवर आधारलेला, सामाजिक न्यायावर आधारलेला, सामाजिक समतेवर आधारलेला, दारिद्र्यमुक्त, विषमतामुक्त, आधुनिक विचाराचा, ज्ञानाधिष्ठित असा समाज आपल्याला सज्ज करायचा आहे. आणि उमलती तंत्रज्ञानं जी आहेत, इमर्जिंग टेक्नॉलॉजीज, ते वापरून पुढे जाणारा असा एक समाज आपल्याला करायचा आहे. त्या तंत्रज्ञानासाठी सज्जता आपल्याला तयार करायची, कारण ते तंत्रज्ञान सगळं जग बदलतंय. जीवसृष्टीचा विनाश, पर्यावरणाचा ऱ्हास आणि हवामान बदल ही संकट आपल्या समोर आहेत. ग्रेटा थुनबर्गने आवाहन केल्यानंतर जगातल्या 50 लाख मुलांनी शाळा सोडलेली आहे. अब की बार क्लायमेट चेंज पे सरकार असं म्हणत 15 लाख मुलं दिल्लीमध्ये रस्त्यावर आली होती. आणि हे असेच सगळ्या जगामध्ये अशा प्रकारचे आंदोलनं चालू आहेत, कारण सगळेजण चिंतित आहेत की आपली वसुंधरा शिल्लक राहणार की नाही. आपल्या गावाकडची ही चित्र अहमदनगर जिल्ह्यामध्ये सुद्धा बघायला मिळतात आणि हे तर चित्र अत्यंत भयावह आहे. अशा वेळेला आपल्याला पर्यायी ऊर्जा, पर्यायी अर्थव्यवस्था आणि पर्यायी रोजगार हे निर्माण करणारी नवी लीडरशिप आपल्याला डेव्हलप करायची, आणि ती फक्त खऱ्या, उत्तम आणि उचित शिक्षणामधूनच येऊ शकते. सध्याची जी शिक्षण पद्धती आहे ती एक प्रकारची बंदी शाळा आहे. तिचं संधी शाळेत रूपांतर करायचंय. आता संदर्भहीन अभ्यासक्रम आहेत, त्याचं पाठ्यपुस्तकं, वर्गखोल्या, शिक्षक आणि पढवलं जाणारं शिक्षण, स्वतःहून घेणारं शिक्षण नाही. सेल्फ डायरेक्टेड एज्युकेशन ज्याला म्हणतात तसं नाही. इट्स टॉट एज्युकेशन. सो वी हॅव टू स्ट्रगल अगेन्स्ट लर्न्ड एज्युकेशन वर्सेस टॉट एज्युकेशन, इन्स्ट्रक्टिव्हिस्ट वर्सेस कन्स्ट्रक्टिव्हिस्ट. हे दोन विचार प्रवाह आपल्याला कन्स्ट्रक्टिव्हिझमच्या दिशेने जायचंय, कारण ही मुलं स्वतंत्र विचार करू शकली पाहिजे. घोकंपट्टी, पोपटपंची, रटाळपणा याला तर आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजन्सने कधीच हद्दपार करून टाकले. आता तर गॅरी कॅस्परोला IBM डीप ब्लूचं कम्प्युटर हरवतो, किंवा डीप नॉलेज व्हेंचर्स सारख्या कंपनीच्या बोर्डावर आता आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजन्सची इन्व्हेस्टमेंट कन्सल्टंट म्हणून नेमणूक झालेली आहे, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स. अशा कितीतरी गोष्टी मी तुम्हाला सांगेन. त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला अत्यंत त्वरित घोकंपट्टी, पोपटपंची आणि रटाळपणा हे काढून टाकल्याशिवाय आपल्या देशातल्या मुलांना पुढे जाता येणार नाही. अपेक्षित प्रश्न अपेक्षित वेळात, त्याची अपेक्षित उत्तरं दिली की अपेक्षित गुण मिळतात, आणि त्याच्यासाठी अनपेक्षित गोष्टी लोक करतात. मास कॉपिंगचा हा प्रकार. या परीक्षाच आपल्याला पूर्णपणे बदलून सातत्यपूर्ण मूल्यमापनाकडे जावं लागेल. नाहीतर या मुलांना कोणीही नोकऱ्या देणार नाही जगामध्ये, ते उपाशी मरतील. सामाजिक विषमतेची दरी आपण वाढवतो आहोत. मगाशी त्याचा गाण्यामध्ये पण उल्लेख झाला. त्या शिक्षणात ना समता आहे, ना मुक्ती आहे, ना सचोटी आहे, ना नैतिकता आहे. आपण मुलांना नैतिक शिक्षण नावाची गोष्ट तर हद्दपार करून टाकली. फक्त विषयांचं शिक्षण दिलं जातं. विषय शिकवणं आणि मुलांना शिकवणं या दोन भिन्न गोष्टी आहेत. मुलांचे शिक्षक आणि विषयांचे शिक्षक. आपल्याला मुलांचे शिक्षक हवे आहेत. त्याच्यात स्वतंत्र विचार, स्वतंत्र अभिव्यक्ती, प्रश्न विचारणं, आहे त्या बॉडी ऑफ नॉलेजला चॅलेंज करता येणं, बॉडी ऑफ नॉलेजला त्याच्या बाउंड्रीज पुश करता येणं, अशा प्रकारच्या स्वतंत्र विचाराच्या मुलांची आपल्याला गरज आहे. आणि तशी मुलं मला गावोगाव भेटतात. फक्त त्यांना शाळेमध्ये तशी संधी दिली जातेच असं नाही. कल्पकता आणि सर्जनशीलता यांना प्रेरणा कशी मिळेल? मी मुक्तोत्तरी प्रश्न विचारल्यानंतर मुलं इतकी विविध उत्तरं देतात. आज वेळेच्या अभावी मी ती आपल्याला सांगणार नाही, पण तुम्ही खदखदून हसाल अशा प्रकारची उत्तरं, इतकी उत्तम उत्तरं मुलं मला गावोगाव देतात. कारण त्यांना मी एक उत्तर येणारे प्रश्न कधीच विचारत नाही. आणि त्यामुळे त्यांची कल्पकता, त्यांची सर्जनशीलता, त्यांची विचारशक्ती ही जागृत होते. आणि त्याबरोबर दैनंदिन जीवन आणि उत्पादक काम यांचा संबंध जोडलेली शिक्षण व्यवस्था आपल्याला पाहिजे, जी गांधींनी नई तालीममध्ये सांगितली. गांधींनी एक महान मंत्र आपल्या देशाला दिला आणि तो सत्याग्रहापेक्षाही विशेष आहे असं गांधींनी स्वतः म्हटलेलं आहे. आणि ती म्हणजे नई तालीम. नई तालीम म्हणजे काय? तर गांधींनी कुठल्या माध्यमातून शिक्षण द्यावं, इंग्रजी द्यावं का मराठी द्यावा या असल्या प्रश्नांवर फार वेळ घालवलेला नाहीये. गांधींनी म्हटलंय की शिक्षणाचं माध्यम काय यापेक्षा ज्ञानप्राप्तीचं माध्यम काय, हा प्रश्न गांधी उपस्थित करतात. आणि गांधी आपल्या प्रयोगातून त्याला उत्तर शोधतात. आणि ते असं आहे की सोशली युजफुल अँड प्रोडक्टिव्ह वर्क इज द ओनली मीडियम ऑफ ॲक्विजिशन ऑफ नॉलेज. सामाजिक दृष्ट्या उपयुक्त आणि उत्पादक काम हेच फक्त ज्ञानप्राप्तीचं एकमेव माध्यम आहे. पुस्तकातून, व्याख्यानातून, प्रवचनातून, गुगलवरून, युट्यूबवरून, टेटटॉकवरून, खान अकॅडमी, युडेमी, कोर्सिरा याच्यावरून ज्ञान मिळत नाही, माहिती मिळते. ज्ञान हे मिळवण्याचं एकमेव माध्यम आहे, उत्पादक काम हे आहे. आणि कामातून ज्ञानप्राप्ती आणि ज्ञानप्राप्तीतून फलदायी काम, ह्या मंत्रांनी आपल्याला पुढे जायचंय. कामातून व्यावहारिक ज्ञान मिळतं, टॅसिट नॉलेज, आणि नंतर तुम्ही ग्रंथातून आणि तज्ज्ञांकडून एक्सप्लिसिट नॉलेज, थिओरिटिकल नॉलेज, सैद्धांतिक नॉलेज मिळू शकतं. ह्या पद्धतीने आपल्याला आपल्या शिक्षणाची पुनर्रचना करण्याशिवाय गत्यंतर नाही. कारण मुलांना दैनंदिन जीवनातलं उत्पादक काम दिलं असतं, मुलं इतकी रमून जातात ते काम करण्यामध्ये. आणि त्यामुळे त्यांना एक प्रकारचं एक आत्मविश्वास त्यांच्यामध्ये निर्माण होतो. ती स्वदिग्दर्शित होतात आणि त्यांचं स्वतंत्र व्यक्तिमत्व घडायला सुरुवात होते. ते ह्या जगात काहीतरी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट करतात, नुसते रिसिव्हिंग एंडला राहत नाही, नुसते कन्झ्युमर होत नाहीत. आणि त्याच्यासाठी ही चतुसूत्री आपल्याला अत्यंत महत्वाची आहे. ज्ञानरचनावादी शिक्षण, ज्ञानाधिष्ठित समाजासाठी सज्ज होणारं शिक्षण, ज्ञानाधिष्ठित अर्थव्यवस्थेसाठी सज्ज होणारं, आणि लर्न, अनलर्न अँड रिलर्न हे आयुष्यभर करायचं आता. कारण एकच एक नोकरी टिकून नंतर रिटायरमेंट काही मिळणार नाहीये. त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला स्वतंत्र रचना, मुलं स्वतःची ज्ञानरचना स्वतः करतात. द चाइल्ड कन्स्ट्रक्ट्स इट्स ओन करिक्युलम. ह्या पद्धतीने आपल्याला शिक्षणाकडे बघावं लागेल. बाकी माहिती देण्याचं काम आता करायला तंत्रज्ञान सज्ज आहे. आता घराघरांमध्ये लहान मुली आपल्या आईला युट्यूबवर लोरी लावून झोपवतात. पूर्वी आया मुलींना लोरी म्हणून झोपवत असत. इतका डिस्कंटिन्युटी सिव्हिलायझेशन मध्ये आता आलेली आहे. आणि आपण मात्र वर्गामध्ये अजूनही व्याख्यानं देतोय. लेक्चर म्हणजे टीचिंग इज नो लॉंगर लेक्चरिंग. टीचिंग इज नॉट इक्वल टू लेक्चरिंग. टीचिंग इज अ ग्रेट कम्युनिकेशन. सो त्या दिशेने आपल्याला जाण्यासाठी नवभारताच्या निर्मितीची सुरुवात कशी करायची? तर आपल्या देशामध्ये जन्माला येणारा प्रत्येक गर्भ हा 2.75 किलोग्रॅम इतका असलाच पाहिजे, असा एक नॅशनल अजेंडा आपल्याला सेट करावा लागेल. नाहीतर आपण एका मोठ्या कोट्यावधींच्या स्टंटेड पॉप्युलेशनची निर्मिती करतो आहोत आणि ते ज्ञानयुगात झेप कधीच घेऊ शकणार नाही. ज्यांच्या शिक्षणाचे, ज्यांच्या पोषणाचे, ज्यांच्या विकासाचे प्रश्न गंभीर होत जातील. आणि त्याच्यामुळे भावी पालकांसाठी उत्तम पालकत्व पूर्व शिक्षणाची आपल्याला गरज आहे. त्याचबरोबर गर्भावस्थेत उत्तम पोषण आणि विकासाची संधी त्या गर्भाला मिळायला पाहिजे. याच्यासाठी सार्वजनिक गुंतवणूक ही खूप महत्वाची आहे. हे सगळ्या व्यक्तींवर सरकारने सोडून द्यायचं आणि काखावर करायच्या असं करून चालणार नाही. त्याच्यामुळे ती गुंतवणूक ही देशाला कुठे घेऊन जाईल हे आपण कल्पना करू शकता. एकही गरोदर महिला उपाशी अर्धपोटी कुपोषित राहणार नाही याच्यासाठी आपल्याला एक नॅशनल मिशन सारखं, जसं 2 बूंद जिंदगी के याच्याने आपण एक मोठा पराक्रम केला, तसंच याच्यासाठी करण्याची आपल्याला गरज आहे. आणि हे केल्यानंतर आपल्याला मुलींच्या आरोग्याकडे खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणात लक्ष देण्याची गरज आहे. क्लायमेट चेंज संबंधी ऍक्शन प्लॅन मध्ये 6व्या नंबरचा घटक हा मुलींचं आरोग्य, मुलींचं शिक्षण असं आहे की ज्याच्याने क्लायमेट चेंजचं संकट आपण वाचवू शकतो. आणि त्याचं प्रमाण हे हरित ऊर्जा वापरण्याच्या वरती त्याला प्रायोरिटी मुलींच्या शिक्षणाला आणि मुलींच्या पोषणाला क्लायमेट ऍक्शन मध्ये दिलेली आहे. हे आपण लक्षात घेतलं पाहिजे. अर्ली चाइल्डहुड एज्युकेशन आता न्यू एज्युकेशन पॉलिसीमध्ये झालेलं आहे. डॉक्टर तांब्यांनी ज्याचा उल्लेख केला ते म्हणजे 6% खर्चाची जीडीपीच्या तरतूद त्याच्यामध्ये करण्याचं घोषित केलेलं आहे. याच्यामुळे आपल्याला त्याच्यात एक अजून सुधारणा केली पाहिजे की त्या 6%तला 50% जीडीपी हा आपण बालशिक्षणासाठी आवश्यक म्हणून राखून ठेवला पाहिजे. आणि बालशिक्षणावर केलेल्या गुंतवणुकीचा परतावा हा जवळजवळ 13% जास्त असतो, असं नोबेल पारितोषिक विजेते अर्थशास्त्रज्ञ प्रोफेसर जे हेकमन यांनी सांगितलेलं आहे. दी अर्ली यू इन्व्हेस्ट इट यील्ड्स डबल डिजिट रिटर्न्स ऑन इन्व्हेस्टमेंट हा त्यांचा नोबेल पारितोषिक विजेता 2000 सालच्या नोबेल पारितोषिकाचा सिद्धांत मी आपल्याला सांगतो. याचं कारण अशा पद्धतीने इन्व्हेस्टमेंट केली असता तुमच्या देशाला तुरुंग कमी लागतात, तुमच्या आरोग्य व्यवस्थेवर खर्च कमी होतो वगैरे वगैरे. म्हणजे आता सविस्तर बोलत नाही त्याच्याबद्दल, पण प्रोफेसर जे हेकमन यांचा जो थिसिस आहे, प्रोफेसर जे हेकमन मॉडेल, त्यावर आधारित आपण अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केअर अँड एज्युकेशनची EECC ची रचना केली पाहिजे अशी माझी विनंती आहे. त्याच्यामुळे आपण पोषण, आरोग्य रक्षण आणि शिक्षण यांचा एकात्मिक विचार या देशामध्ये मांडला पाहिजे. आणि आपल्या देशातल्या 10 लाख अंगणवाड्यांचं अप्रतिम अशा चाइल्ड केअर अँड एज्युकेशन सेंटर्समध्ये बेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड, इवन बेटर दॅन फिनलंड अशा प्रकारचं करण्याचा एक रिझॉल्व आपण केल्याशिवाय उगाच आत्मनिर्भर भारताच्या बाता किंवा आमचं काहीतरी विश्वगुरु होणार आहे वगैरे वगैरे असलं महासत्ता वगैरे हे सगळे बकवास आहे. ह्या बेसिक फंडामेंटल इन्व्हेस्टमेंट जोपर्यंत आपला देश करत नाही तोपर्यंत हे सगळे फक्त शाब्दिक बुडबुडे राहतील. प्राथमिक शिक्षणामध्ये बहुविध बुद्धिमत्तांचा संतुलित संवर्धन केलं पाहिजे. हॉर्वर्ड गार्डनरनी आपल्याला हे दाखवलंय की या बहुविध बुद्धिमत्तांचं पट घेऊन प्रत्येक मूल जन्माला आहे, तो उपजत जन्माला आहे. आता त्यातलं कुठला चांगला आहे, कुठला जास्त डेव्हलप्ड आहे, कुठल्याला जास्त विकसित करण्याची संधी आहे हे शोधून काढणं हे शिक्षकाचं काम आहे. की या मुलाचा व्हर्बल इंटेलिजन्स चांगला आहे का, याचा मॅथमॅटिकल लॉजिकल इंटेलिजन्स चांगला आहे का, हा लोकांची भावभावना समजून घेऊन डॉक्टर तांब्यांसारखा एक सक्सेसफुल लीडर होऊ शकतो, किंवा हा नेचर विषयी जास्त सालीम अलींसारखं काहीतरी त्याला आहे, किंवा लता मंगेशकरांसारखं त्याचं म्युझिकमध्येच तो पुढे काय करणार आहे. आणि इंटेलिजन्सचं तत्व आहे इंटेलिजन्स डेव्हलपमेंटचं की यूज इट ऑर लूज इट. त्याच्यामुळे ते वापरण्याच्या संधी देणारी शाळा म्हणून त्याला बंदी शाळेतून संधी शाळेत रूपांतर करणं हा आपला एक नॅशनल अजेंडा असला पाहिजे. शाळेमध्ये काय काय नसलं पाहिजे तर सरकारी नियंत्रण केंद्रीय असता कामा नये, सामाजिक विभाजन केंद्रीय असता कामा नये. गरिबांच्या मुलांना महानगरपालिकेच्या शाळा, श्रीमंतांच्या मुलांना इंटरनॅशनल स्कूल बंद केलं पाहिजे. कधीही लोकशाही निर्माण करणार नाही आपला देश. एका निवडणुकीतून दुसऱ्या निवडणुकीकडे फक्त निवडणुकीच्या वेळी लोकशाहीचा गजर करणारा देश एवढीच त्याची आयडेंटिटी राहील. तो काही लोकशाही देश होऊ शकत नाही. त्याच्यात विचार स्वातंत्र्य, स्वतंत्र बुद्धी, विश्लेषण, परस्परांच्या मताविषयी आदर हे सगळं कधी होईल, ज्यावेळी मुलं लहानपणापासून एका वर्गात बसतील तेव्हाच ते होऊ शकेल. ते प्रशासन केंद्रीय असतं कामा नये, शिक्षक केंद्री तर अजिबात नको, विषय केंद्री नको, वर्गखोली केंद्री नको, अंतिम परीक्षा केंद्री नको, स्टेटस केंद्री, प्रमाणपत्र केंद्री, हे सगळे त्याला जडलेले रोग आहेत. आपण ते पूर्णपणे काढून टाकले पाहिजे. आणि विद्यार्थी विकास केंद्री शिक्षण, समाज विकास केंद्री, त्याचवेळी नैतिक शिक्षणाचा पुरस्कार. कारण बीज बोये बबूल की आम कहा से आए. जर तुम्ही बाभळीच्या बिया पेरल्या तर त्या झाडाला आंबे कसे लागतील हे मुलांना लहानपणी शिकवायला पाहिजे. नंतर सगळे समाजातले अनर्थ टाळता येतील. सुजाण नागरिकत्वाचं शिक्षण आणि पर्यावरण स्नेही किंवा पर्यावरण विकास केंद्री शिक्षण हे आपले 4 मूलभूत महत्वाचे घटक असले पाहिजे. आणि माहिती तंत्रज्ञानाच्या अंमलबजावणीमुळे आपल्याला ह्या गोष्टी मिळवणं सहज शक्य होईल. सातत्यपूर्ण, मुक्त, पारदर्शी, इंटेलिजन्स, फेअर, त्या मुलाचा इंटेलिजन्स काय, त्याच्यातलं मूल्यमापन, त्या डेव्हलपमेंट अप्रोप्रिएट मूल्यमापन, अशा अनेक मूल्यमापनाचे विशिष्ट प्रकार आहेत की ज्याच्यातून त्या मुलाचा शोध लागतो. जे उत्कर्षाने गांधीजींचं वाक्य सांगितलं, फार महत्वाचं वाक्य सांगितलं, शेवटी त्या मुलातलं बेस्ट काय हे ड्रॉ आउट करतं, त्याला शिक्षण असं गांधीजी म्हणतात. आणि ते कसं करता येईल, तर तुम्ही त्याचं असेसमेंट त्या पद्धतीने केलं तर ते करता येईल. काही मुलं प्रतिभा संपन्न म्हणून जन्माला येतात, त्यांना आपण नर्चरन्स दिला पाहिजे, कारण त्याच्यातला एक एक मुलगा देशाची संपूर्ण इकॉनॉमी बदलू शकतो. मी लेक्सलाइड स्कूलमध्ये सिएटलला बिलगेट्सच्या जाऊन आलो आणि बिलगेट्सला लहानपणी तिथे एक कम्प्युटर टर्मिनल त्यांच्या सगळ्या शाळेतल्या आयांच्या एका भिशीच्या ग्रुपमधल्या राहिलेल्या पैशातून कसं मिळालं त्याची स्टोरी मी ऐकली. आणि मग रेडमंडची इकॉनॉमी कशी बदलली आपल्या डोळ्यासमोर आपल्याला माहिती आहे. इथे अमेरिकेतले बरेच लोक बसलेत, खैरनार सर वगैरे सगळे बसलेत, त्यांना माहिती आहे. त्याच्यामुळे इंडियन चाइल्ड प्रॉडिजीजना शोधून काढणं, अशी 1,00,000 मुलं देशातली शोधून काढून त्यांच्यावर विलक्षण अशा पद्धतीने आपण त्यांना विकसित केलं पाहिजे. मला 5वीतली मुलं माहिती आहेत जी मल्टीनॉमिनल थिअरम सोडवतात, अनेक नवीन प्रमेय माझ्यासमोर मांडतात. अशी मुलं आहेत आपल्या देशात. त्यांना आपण 12वी पर्यंत गणित शिकायला लावतो, ते गणित येत नसतं मास्तरांना, त्यांचं तोंड बघत शेवटी त्यांचा गणितातला उत्साह निघून जातो. त्याच्यामुळे त्यांना आयसर किंवा नायसर किंवा IITs मध्ये प्रवेशाची लोअर एजची मर्यादा काढून टाकली पाहिजे. त्यांना लवकर पुढे जाऊ दिलं पाहिजे. आणि अशा मुलांना आपण त्यांचं मूल्यमापन एका वेगळ्या पद्धतीने शालेय शिक्षणामध्ये ज्ञान, आकलन आणि ज्ञानाचं उपयोजन ह्याच्यासाठी केलं पाहिजे. आणि त्याच गोष्टीला फक्त उच्च शिक्षण म्हटलं पाहिजे की ज्याच्यामध्ये अनालिसिस, सिंथेसिस आणि इव्हॅल्युएशन होतं. नाहीतर मग ते उच्च शिक्षण म्हणजे सुद्धा प्राथमिक शिक्षणच आहे. मी आता माझ्या वेळेच्या मर्यादेमध्ये इथे थांबतो आणि मला जो वेळ दिला त्याबद्दल मी डॉक्टर तांबे आणि सर्व संयोजकांचे मनापासून आभार मानतो. धन्यवाद.
लोट ऑफ थँक्स डॉक्टर विवेकजी सावंत. अत्यंत महत्त्वाच्या मुद्द्यांना आपण स्पर्श केला. बंदी शाळेकडून संधी शाळेकडे आपल्याला जाण्यासाठीचे मार्ग आपण अधोरेखित केलेत. टू ड्रॉउट्स मिस एज्युकेशन अशा स्वरूपाचा विचार आपल्या शिक्षणाच्या प्रक्रियेमध्ये आपण अंतर्भूत खऱ्या अर्थानं करण्याची गरज आहे. आपण महात्मा गांधींच्या 3H एज्युकेशन सिस्टीमबद्दल अत्यंत विवेचन सुंदर रीतीनं केलं. खरं तर हाताला काम आणि डोक्याला विचार आणि हृदयाला भाव देणारं जे असतं ते खरं शिक्षण असतं. दुर्दैवानं आपल्या शिक्षण व्यवस्थेमध्ये तसा विचार नाहीत. गेले काही वर्ष आपण सातत्यपूर्ण सर्वंकष मूल्यमापनाची प्रक्रिया अधोरेखित करत आहोत. पण हे सर्व घडत असताना सुद्धा आपल्याकडे आता पुन्हा एकदा परीक्षेची मागणी होते आहे आणि आपल्या नव्या एज्युकेशन पॉलिसीमध्ये आपण आता पुन्हा परीक्षेची मागणी घेऊन ती अंमलबजावणी दृष्टिकोन ठेवतोय. मला वाटतं की एकीकडे आपण शिक्षणाच्या प्रक्रियेचा विचार ज्ञानाच्या प्रक्रियेशी जोडतो आहोत. हाताला काम देताना त्यातून शिक्षण करता असा प्रकारचा विचार गांधीजींनी अधोरेखित केला होता. पण दुर्दैवानं आज आमचा एज्युकेशनचा संबंध फक्त इन्फॉर्मेशनशी जोडला जातोय आणि अत्यंत वाईट गोष्ट. या प्रकारचा विचार आपण केला. आपण खूप महत्वाचा एक विषय या निमित्तानं मांडलात की शालेय पोषण आहारासारखी जी योजना आहे ही किती महत्वाची हे आपण अधोरेखित केलं. पोषणाशिवाय शिक्षणाची गुणवत्ता उंचावणार नाहीत. मला आठवतं की तामिळनाडूचे मुख्यमंत्री जे होते त्यांनी ही योजना जेव्हा देशामध्ये त्यांच्या राज्यामध्ये सुरू केली तेव्हा त्या राज्यातल्या सर्व सचिवांनी, तत्कालीन आमदारांनी आणि तत्कालीन असलेल्या विरोधी पक्षांनी सुद्धा त्यावर टीका केली आणि यामुळे राज्य बुडेल अशा स्वरूपाची भूमिका मांडली. तेव्हा तत्कालीन मुख्यमंत्र्यांनी एक शब्द सांगितला, गरिबी काय असते हे तुम्हाला माहित नाही, ज्यांचं पोट भरत नाही ते शिक्षणाच्या दारात येत नाही. मला वाटतं की आजच्या सर्व समस्येचं उत्तर तुमच्या या विधानामध्ये आहे. पुन्हा एकदा मी तुम्हाला धन्यवाद देतो आणि यानंतरच्या सत्रासाठी आपल्या सोबत असणारे डॉक्टर अजयजी पोद्दार यांचा थोडक्यात परिचय ठिकाणी मी करून देतो. अजय पोद्दार is the graduate in electronic communication engineer in NIT Calcutta, then MTech in IIT Delhi. He's a doctor. He's a doctorate in the Bruyan, and then he postgraduate in the other state university BTU, and then German university. He has received own dozen awards for the scientific and the technological innovations. He the 2 dozen patent and he's get the many prizes, the 250 scientific papers in journals published. I request to, and he worked as the senior scientist in DRDO India. I request to Ajayji Poddar, please give the Dr. Ajayji Poddar.
Yeah. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Greetings to all from New Jersey. Greetings from New Jersey, USA. And I think you have evening time. We're in America. We have morning time. So Good morning, good evening to all the attendees. I would like to, very wonderful talk from Honorable Vivek Sawant gave eye-opening talks because in his statement he said, "We in India we have a much vocabulary, and then what really do it is." Thank you, sir, for eye-opening talks. I want to thank Dr. Sudhir Tambe and Mr. Durga Tambe for giving opportunity to talk on very important topics, education for rural and underprivileged students as a part of virtual events, the global conference coming together for peace, harmony, and progress. It was first series started on Bapu's birth anniversary, 2nd October 2020. In present time, Gandhian philosophy is more relevant, meaningful than ever before. The growing trends of intolerance and hatred worldwide can lead to path of disaster if not corrected timely fashion. The 2nd October is a very important day for us and all international community, as UNESCO has declared the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi as International Day of Nonviolence. Jaihind people have been engaged in various activities for charitable work, especially for education for rural and underprivileged. This is commendable jobs towards building healthy society. And I want to salute those people who are involved from Sangamner. United Nations reported about inequality in a rapidly changing world. It is a matter of concern for both developed and developing countries. Inequality in rapid changing society comes as we confront the harsh realities of deeply unequal landscape within the cross country, whether it is village, nation, and worldwide. Income disparity and the lack of opportunity are creating a malicious cycle of inequality, frustration, and dissatisfaction across generations. Unless local communities, volunteer leaders, government, and global players collaborate for addressing this issue, the core promise we make all the time to leave no one behind will remain a distant goal. Education is to be proven a great equalizer. And that's what Dr. Suri Tambe was saying. If we are not wealthy by education, we can help much of the problems. We must call for giving all children the same opportunity for their education, regardless of where they live and the condition in which they were raised, especially children from deprived families, from tribal and backward regions, where formal education is not considered as a necessity. To promote equality in society, improving the access to education to rural and underprivileged communities must, because education is the medium of human empowerment and enhances the quality of life. One of the best ways to avoid being poor as an azure to obtain a good education, people who have higher levels of academic achievements and more years of schooling are more than those with lower level of human capital. Again, I mean the education as per nicely quoted by Mahatma Gandhi. It is not just something learning and degree. One should have a right mind, a right body, and right spirit. In practice, improving access to education does not always result in lower inequality. Much depends on how education policy is designed and unimplemented. At the global level, the share of government spending on education in national budget is much lower in low and middle income countries than in high income countries. As a result, the education system has often served to reinforce inequality further rather than give every child an equal chance of succeeding. Disparities between schools share programs based on geography and socioeconomic status, race, and ethnicity can be found in most education systems. Moving from commitments to a sustained reduction in inequality and equitable sharing of the benefits of development requires determined effort and political will, including the local community and other volunteering leaders. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a student needs to have physiological need met before they were able to learn. If a child is hungry, he or she will focus on that fact and not on the schoolwork. Government, your local administration, your local community should help rural schools, especially the deprived community, to provide breakfast and lunch, especially for those families who meet national poverty guidelines. If children are not hungry, they will be more likely to focus on education in school if right trial can be made. And you all agree, underserved community deserves a solution. It is worth sharing the fact that these rural communities show higher level of social cohesion, stronger beliefs in community safety, and stronger opinions that people in the community look out for each other. In my case, I was raised in rural school, attended primary school under the tree. All the children, including me, regarding of their age, sit around the tree and learn the lesson in open sky. What I learned during my childhood still pays the dividends now, helps others, respect others, and be accommodating. I went abroad for higher study, but one thing always keep coming to my mind. Many childhood friends who were more intelligent than me but could not pursue even high school education because of poverty, and bringing food in the house was a question of survival and priority. It will be no overstatement to make a testimonial that if underprivileged students are supported for their education, and if they succeed, perhaps they will return back to society multiple times. This will not only solve the education problem in the poor community, but will also help in reducing the crime, animosity, hatred, and exploitation. Gender and race inequality are also prevalent in our society, locally and globally. United Nations are working very hard and all over the world. These needs to be addressed without fail. In past 5 years, I have visited Amrit Bahani College of Engineering, Sangamnes 3 times. I want to thank Dr. Rekha Lavde and principal of Amrit Bahani College of Engineering, faculty, professor, and local volunteers for giving me opportunity to give talk on IEEE site. Site stands for Special Interest Group and Humanitarian Technology, and IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, which has main mission advancing the technology for humanity. I have supported for the formation of Amrit Bahani Sangha site chapter for the benefit of local community, especially rural and underprivileged community. As a chair of chapter activity committee and site committee around the world, I have helped in establishing 100 plus chapters worldwide, including more than dozen chapters in India. IEEE is very supportive in helping underserved community. Several technological projects developed worldwide, including India, by site volunteers to provide quality education for rural and underprivileged community. IEEE is a global organization, leverage technology to collaborate, communicate, and connect worldwide for the benefit of humanity. IEEE site program is a driving force for a better future for all, including underserved community. One such program is called IEEE Smart Village, which may tally with the Dr. Sudhir Tambe effort. The initiative focused on providing know-how, technology, and support for sustainable education system in rural and remote places. Many effort we do it, but should not be one man effort like Dr. Sudhir Tambe, Mr. Durga Tambe is doing. It should be sustainable effort so that we can duplicate other part of the country. Uh, from the IEEE Smart Village Initiative, they have three key points. Elevate the importance for education program in rural and underprivileged section of the society. Convince them the best ways to avoid being poor for entire life is to obtain a good education. So they will understand, they will listen our message. Working together, which is most important, what Dr. Sri Tambe was mentioning, government, local volunteer leaders, community, international organization, funding, all need to come to a harmonical stand to increase the impact of education in rural and underprivileged students. Utilize digital platform, which is like online teaching, Internet of Things, remote telemedicine, other thing. Thanks to the development of IT, because even we remotely we can give them same kind of quality of education under the IEEE Smart Village initiatives. The distance learning and telemedicine programs helps rural community use the unique capability of telecommunication to connect to each other and to the world, overcoming the effects of remoteness and low population density. For example, this program can link teachers and medical sub-providers in one area to students and patients. We did several projects in Calcutta, Canada, and other part of the world with the telemedicine helping the many people in the village in India also. Some of our members in IEEE, they are working round the clock to support the system. Only we have to tap the Sangamner chapter to connect from the international organization. One of the IEEE Smart Village program is a pillar initiative of the foundation, catalyze development in underserved and marginalized community around the globe. IEEE Foundation offers technical and financial support to rural and local entrepreneurs who expand both energy access and education to rural, underprivileged, and remote community. This model of sustainable community development is impactful because the empowered beneficiary in the deprived community, and this community will play an active role in building the cycle. This sets IEEE Smart Village Initiative apart from other humanitarian development initiatives targeted for supporting quality education to underserved community. And as even though it is very early stage, the program produced tangible results in developing countries, Nigeria, many other South African countries, and other part of the world. To conclude, there is a broad agreement on the importance of universal access to quality education to break the intergenerational cycle of growing inequality and promote inclusive development. And if I were the choice, Sanskrit and Vedic mathematics should have been included in the primary education. We lost somewhere, we don't know, our strength in both language and medical field, which is Sanskrit and Ayurveda. For detailed information of IEEE initiative and technical and financial support, please contact Dr. Rekha Lavde. She is serving as a chair of Amrit Bahani College of Engineering as a chapter of site representative. We can connect from international help. At least I would like to thank Dr. Sudhir Tambe and Mr. Duga Tambe and all the Jaihind people team for supporting the mission, thereby helping their life journey to have a dignified life. Thank you for listening. If there's a question, I'll love to answer. Otherwise, you can send me the email and we can connect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable thoughts. खरं तर शिक्षणाच्या संदर्भानं महात्मा गांधींचा विचार किती महत्वाचा आहे गेले तिन्ही वक्त्यांनी आपल्याला अधोरेखित केलं. आपल्याकडे खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावरती एका अर्थानं संधी आहेत आणि या संधीचं आपण सोनं करण्याची नितांत गरज आहे. महात्मा गांधींचा विचार आपल्याला आजही 2020 साठी सुद्धा शिक्षणाच्या प्रक्रियेमध्ये किती महत्वाचा आहे. शिक्षणामध्ये समान संधीची गरज आहे आणि पदवी म्हणजे शिक्षण नाहीत. आज जग कुठे चाललंय आणि आपण आज काय करण्याची नितांत गरज आहे. आजच्या शिक्षणाच्या प्रसार प्रक्रियेसाठी आपल्याला दूरस्थ शिक्षणाची नितांत गरज आहे. यासारख्या आणि आपल्या बलस्थानं शोधण्याची प्रक्रिया किती नितांत गरज यासारखी भूमिका आपण प्रतिपादन केलीत त्याबद्दल मी आपल्याला पुन्हा एक वार धन्यवाद देतो आणि यानंतर कल्याणी मॅडम यांना विनंती करतो की पुढील संचलन आपण करावं.
धन्यवाद वाकचौरे सर. We welcome our next esteemed speaker, Shri Bhausaheb Chaskar sir. Chaskar sir is an assistant teacher in a Jilla Parishad school at Akole, Ahmednagar. He has an extensive experience of 24 years in the field of education. He is well acclaimed in Maharashtra as an experimental teacher. His experiments in the field of education are based on practical knowledge and human values. He has introduced a concept called mind map so that learning for children from underprivileged background can be more easier. चास्कर सरांना संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्र एक प्रयोगशील शिक्षक म्हणून ओळखतो. मुलांच्या भावविश्वाला समजून घेऊन त्यांना शिक्षण देण्याचं काम हे चास्कर सर करत आहेत. मी चास्कर सरांना विनंती करते की त्यांनी त्यांचं मनोगत मांडावं.
सर्वांना नमस्कार. मी मराठीत बोलणार आहे. जय हिंद लोक चळवळीचे प्रमुख आपल्या सगळ्यांचे मार्गदर्शक डॉक्टर सुधीर तांबे, विवेक सावंत सर, पोद्दार सर, सहभागी सर्व मान्यवर, संदीप वाकचौरे सर. गांधींच्या निमित्तानं आपण शिक्षणाविषयी बोलत आहोत. ही माझ्या दृष्टीनं एक शिक्षक म्हणून अत्यंत महत्त्वाची आणि जय हिंद लोक चळवळीच्या प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करावी अशी गोष्ट आहे. देशाला स्वातंत्र्य मिळालं त्याच्या आधी किंवा त्यानंतर स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीनं एक जे स्वप्न बघितलं होतं ते स्वप्न साकार करण्यासाठी, लोकशाहीची मूल्य रुजवण्यासाठी शिक्षण असा विचार पहिल्या भाषणामध्ये पंतप्रधान पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरूंनी मांडला होता. शिक्षण हे समाज परिवर्तनाचं सर्वात सशक्त माध्यम आहे असं आग्रही आणि ठाम प्रतिपादन नेहरूंनी केलेलं मला आज या ठिकाणी स्मरण करावंसं वाटतं. मगाशी प्रास्ताविकाच्या भाषणामध्ये डॉक्टर तांबे बोलताना असं म्हणाले की आर्थिक विषमतेचं जसंच्या तसं प्रतिबिंब आज शिक्षणामध्ये, शाळांमध्ये पडताना दिसतं. गरीब मुलांसाठी गरीब शाळा आहे, श्रीमंत मुलांसाठी श्रीमंत शाळा आहे. कोठारी कमिशननं 1964-66 साली जे कोठारी कमिशन नेमलं होतं त्याचे सचिव जे होते ते महाराष्ट्रातले JP नाईक सर होते. त्यांची आठवण ठेवण्याचं कारण त्यांनी कॉमन स्कूल सिस्टीम विषयी सांगितलं होतं. मगाशी विवेक सावंत सर जे सांगत होते की आपण जर गरीब मुलांना गरीब शाळा आणि श्रीमंत मुलांना श्रीमंत शाळा अशा प्रकारचं आर्थिक विषमतेनं दिलेलं जे काय दारिद्र्यमूलक विषमतामूलक शिक्षण आहे असंच पुढे घेऊन जात राहिलो तर आपल्या लोकशाहीच्या समोर गंभीर आव्हानं आहेत, उभी राहणार आहेत. याचा विचार मला असं वाटतं आपण सगळ्यांनी करायला हवा. वेळ कमी आहे म्हणून मी या सगळ्यामध्ये वेळ न घालवता मला जो मुद्दा सांगितला होता वंचितांच्या शिक्षणाच्या विषयी, त्या मुद्द्याला धरून मी काही विचार आपल्या समोर ठेवण्याचा प्रयत्न करणार आहे. कोविडनं आपल्या सगळ्यांना हे सांगितलेलं आहे की सध्या आम्ही शिक्षण म्हणून देत आहोत ते आउटडेटेड झालेलं आहे. आमचा अभ्यासक्रम नापास झालेला आहे, आमची पाठ्यपुस्तकं नापास झालेली आहे, आमची शिक्षण व्यवस्था जी आहे ती नापास झालेली आहे. मी अशा प्रकारचं एक धाडसी विधान अत्यंत गांभीर्यानं करत आहे. याची अनेक कारणं आहेत. मला असं वाटतं की या ठिकाणी सगळ्या कारणांची विश्लेषणामध्ये मी जात नाही, परंतु शिक्षणाची गाडी जेव्हा कोविडच्यामुळं थांबलेली आहे मगाशी गाणं आपण ऐकत होतो की शिक्षणाची गाडी चाललेली आहे, तर शिक्षणाची गाडी थांबलेली आहे. कोणत्या मुलांच्या शिक्षणाची गाडी थांबलेली आहे? तर उत्तर स्पष्ट आहे. ज्या मुलांच्या घरामध्ये मोबाईल नाही, ज्या मुलांच्या घरामध्ये लॅपटॉप नाही, ज्या मुलांच्या घरामध्ये संगणक नाही, ज्या मुलांच्या घरामध्ये ऑनलाईन शिक्षणाच्या सुविधा नाहीत, अशा मुलांच्या शिक्षणाची गाडी थांबलेली आहे. ऍक्टिव्ह टीचर्स फोरम, ज्या फोरमला मी त्या फोरमशी मी जोडलेला आहे, संयोजक म्हणून काम करतो. जेव्हा शाळा बंद शिक्षण सुरू अशा प्रकारचा महाराष्ट्र सरकारनं अत्यंत चांगला पथदर्शी महत्वाकांक्षा अशा प्रकारचा कार्यक्रम हातात घेतला. मार्च महिन्यामध्ये जेव्हा 17 तारखेला लॉकडाऊन डिक्लेअर झाला 19 तारखेच्या दरम्यान, तेव्हा अनेक शिक्षक अशी तक्रार करत होते, अनेक विद्यार्थी अशी, अनेक पालक अशी तक्रार करत होते की ऑनलाईन प्लॅटफॉर्मवर आपण शिक्षण आणलेलं आहे, परंतु मोबाईल नाहीत किंवा या ऑनलाईनच्या साठीच्या ज्या सुविधा आहेत त्या नाहीत. आम्ही एक सर्वे कंडक्ट केला. 1,68,000 विद्यार्थ्यांचा सर्वे होता आणि त्या 1,68,000 विद्यार्थ्यांपैकी जिल्हा परिषदेच्या शाळेमध्ये शिकणाऱ्या 98,000 विद्यार्थ्यांपैकी केवळ 20% मुलांकडे इंटरनेट आणि मोबाईल अशा प्रकारचं जे काही ऑनलाईन साठी आवश्यक असलेल्या गोष्टी आहेत त्या होत्या. एकूण 1,68,000 विद्यार्थ्यांपैकी केवळ 27% मुलांकडे स्मार्टफोन आणि इंटरनेटचं कनेक्शन. डिजिटल जस्टिस विषयी जेव्हा आपण बोलतो, जेव्हा आपण आर्थिक विषमतेविषयी आपण बोलतो, तेव्हा आर्थिक विषमतेचं प्रतिबिंब आमच्या शिक्षणामध्ये पडत आल्याची आठवण मला असं वाटतं की आपण ठेवायला पाहिजे. पैशावाले मुलं शिकताय, गरीब मुलांना शिक्षण मिळत नाही. आपण हेही बघितलं की अनेक कुटुंब देशोधडीला लागलेली आहेत ड्युरिंग द पॅन्डेमिक पिरियड. अनेक कुटुंब देशोधडीला लागलेले. कोण आहेत ही लोक कोण आहेत? आपण हेही बघितलेलं आहे की लक्षावधी मुलं आणि पालक दिल्लीहून, पुण्याहून, मुंबईहून आपल्या गावाला दूर 1,000 किलोमीटर पर्यंत पायी पायी चालत गेलेले आहेत. त्या मुलांच्या शिक्षणाचा विचार आपल्याला करायला लागेल. जेव्हा आपण वंचित मुलांच्या शिक्षणाची गोष्ट बोलतो त्यावेळेला दलित, आदिवासी आणि भटक्या समाजातली मुलं वंचित राहत आहेत आणि गरिबांची मुलं वंचित राहत आहेत. विपन्न अवस्थेच्या गर्तेमध्ये, दारिद्र्याच्या गर्तेमध्ये ज्यांची कुटुंब अनेक वर्ष कोसळून पडलेली आहेत, देशोधडीला लागलेली आहेत, त्यांच्या शिक्षणाचा विचार आपण करायला हवा. मला या गांधीजींच्या निमित्तानं जेव्हा आपण बोलत आहोत शिक्षणाविषयी, तेव्हा गांधी असं म्हणाले होते, जेव्हा गरिबांच्या मुलांच्या शिक्षणाविषयी आपण बोलणार नाही आहोत मग कोण बोलणार आहे? त्यांचं काम शिक्षणाचं आपण नाही करणार आहोत म्हणजे कोण करणार आहे? अशा प्रकारचं गांधींनी जेव्हा वर्ध्यामध्ये नई तालीम, ही गांधींनी स्वतः सांगितलेलं आहे, मी जर समाजाला काही दिलेलं आहे असं तुम्ही मानत असाल तर नई तालीम ही सर्वोत्तम देणगी आहे गांधीजींनी दिलेली भारताला आणि जागतिक समुदायाला. तेव्हा मला असं वाटतं की ही गोष्ट आपण निश्चितपणाने लक्षात सगळ्यांनी ठेवण्याची गरज आहे. मग ती शिक्षकांनी असेल, कार्यकर्त्यांनी असेल, NGOनी असेल, इथल्या नेत्यांनी असेल, शिक्षणातल्या काम करणाऱ्या संस्थांनी असेल. गरीब मुलांचं काम आपण नाही करणार तर मग कोण करणार? ही मला असं वाटतं की आठवण आपण सगळ्यांनी ठेवण्याची गरज आहे. ही स्थिती अत्यंत असाधारण आहे. त्याच्यामुळं मी पुढे जाताना 2 गोष्टी ज्या आहेत, कोविड दरम्यानची शिक्षणाची स्थिती आणि कोविड नंतरच्या शिक्षणाची स्थिती, त्याच्यामध्ये आपण काय करू शकतो, आपल्याला काय करता येणं शक्य आहे, अशा प्रकारे काही मुद्दे समोर ठेवण्याचा प्रयत्न मी करणार आहे. आज एक रिपोर्ट वाचत होतो, खैरनार सरांनी मला तो पाठवला होता. त्याच्यामध्ये असं स्पष्टच लिहिलेलं होतं सत्यजित तांबे की सध्या जागतिक पातळीवर 2,40,00,000 मुलं शिक्षणाच्या प्रवाहातून बाजूला ढकलले गेलेले आहेत. त्याच्यामध्ये भारतीय मुलांचं प्रमाण सुद्धा फार मोठ्या प्रमाणावर आहे. मी ज्या अकोले तालुक्यामध्ये राहतो तिथे आदिवासी मुलींचं प्रमाण मोठं आहे. मला माझ्या माहितीत 3 आदिवासी आणि त्या पेरिफेरीमधल्या मुलींची बालविवाह माझ्या माहितीतले आहेत, म्हणून मी सांगत आहे. एकदा का शाळेपासून मुलं तुटले, एकदा का मुली शाळेपासून तुटल्या की मग बालमजुरी आणि मग बालविवाह आणि मग विवेक सावंत सर मगाशी जे सांगत होते की कुपोषित मुलं आणि मग पोषण आणि शिक्षणाचा अत्यंत जवळचा संबंध आहे. डॉक्टर तांबे या स्टेजवर बसलेले आहेत, ते याच्यापेक्षा बिईंग ए मेडिकल पर्सन ही नोज बेटर दॅन अस. तर मला असं वाटतं की ही परिस्थिती आहे. एका बाजूला युरोप, अमेरिकेमध्ये मोठ्या प्रमाणावर असा एक डिस्कोर्स आहे तिथे की ऑनलाईन प्लॅटफॉर्मवर शिक्षण जे आहे त्यात क्वालिटी एज्युकेशनचा आस्पेक्ट जो आहे, त्या डिजिटल कंटेंटचा जो आस्पेक्ट आहे, त्याची चर्चा US मध्ये आणि युरोपमध्ये मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सुरू आहे. आणि दुसऱ्या बाजूला भारतामध्ये मुलांना ऑनलाईन शिक्षणासाठी मोबाईल नाही म्हणून मोठ्या प्रमाणावर एक मुलांमध्ये चिंता आहे आणि आत्महत्या सुरू झालेल्या आहे. मला ही फार गंभीर गोष्ट वाटते. म्हणून आपल्याला जर काही करायचंच असेल या संबंधानं, तर मला असं वाटतं की जो ऍक्सेस नाहीये मुलांना, तो ऍक्सेस देण्यासाठी आपण काय करू शकतो, ग्रामीण भागामध्ये काय करू शकतो. ऑनलाईन एज्युकेशनच्या बाबतीतल्या मर्यादा भारताच्या संबंधानं, भारतीय समुदायाच्या संबंधानं स्पष्ट झालेल्या आहेत. कारण आपण कोणत्याच अर्थानं समाज म्हणून ऑनलाईन शिक्षणासाठी तयार नाही आहोत. आपण 1986चे धोरण जे होतं त्याच्यामध्ये तेव्हाचे पंतप्रधान राजीव गांधींनी या ऑनलाईन एज्युकेशनच्या संबंधानं ICT चा वापर शिक्षणामध्ये करण्याच्या संबंधानं खूप आग्रही भूमिका घेतलेली होती. मात्र मला असं वाटतं की पुढच्या काळामध्ये आपण सगळे कमी पडलो आणि आम्ही शाळा तयार केल्या नाहीत त्यासाठी, ऑनलाईन प्लॅटफॉर्मवर शिक्षण घडवण्यासाठी आणि अनेक गोष्टी त्याच्यामध्ये बोलता येतील. आपण डिजिटल कंटेंट बाबतीत काम केलं नाही. डॉक्टर तांबे या ठिकाणी आहेत. आपण सगळेजण म्हणत होतो की बालभारती बंद करू नका, परंतु चुकीच्या पद्धतीने बालभारती गेल्या काळात बंद झाल्यामुळे डिजिटल कंटेंटची मानव आज महाराष्ट्रामध्ये आहे आणि या सगळ्यासाठी आपण सगळे मिळून काही काम करू शकतो का? तर या संबंधानं मी आपल्या सगळ्यांचं स्वागत आणि आपल्या सगळ्यांना निमंत्रण देत आहे. मुलांमध्ये हुशारी आहे, मुलांना शिकायचं आहे, मुलांमध्ये गुणवत्ता आहे, मुलांमध्ये क्षमता आहे, परंतु मुलांना शिकता येत नाहीये. गरीब मुलांना शिकता येत नाही, आदिवासी मुलांना, दलित मुलांना शिकता येत नाही का? तर त्यांच्याकडे गॅझेट नाही. मग आपण हे गॅझेट देण्यासाठी काही करू शकतो का? तिथे व्हॉलेंटियर्स नेमून आपण एक गॅझेट शेअर करता येईल का सध्याच्या काळात, ड्युरिंग द पेंडेमिक पिरियड? आणि विच इज व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग ॲज पर माय पॉईंट ऑफ व्ह्यू. या सगळ्या गोष्टी, कारण असं आहे की ही मुलं जी आहे यांना आता सध्या न्यूनगंड छळतोय की माझ्यामध्ये क्षमता आहे, गुणवत्ता आहे, सगळं आहे, परंतु मला शिक्षण घेता येत नाही. गरिबांच्या मुलांना शिक्षण घेता येत नाही इच्छा असून मला असं वाटतं की एक प्रकारे व्यवस्था त्यांना शिक्षण नाकारते आहे. एक प्रकारे शिक्षण हक्क कार्यकर्ता म्हणून, एक शिक्षक म्हणून मला असं वाटतं की ही परिस्थिती जर मुलांच्या मनामध्ये काही विषमतेचे बीज पेरत असेल तर गंभीर आव्हानं आपल्या सगळ्यांच्या समोर ही निर्माण करू शकणारी आहे. आणि म्हणून मला असं वाटतं की शाळा कधी सुरू होतील सांगता येत नाहीये. आणि अशा वातावरणामध्ये मग आपण फिरतं वाचनालय, मोबाईल लायब्ररी सारखं असं काही करू शकतो का सध्याच्या काळामध्ये? शाळा सुरू होत नसतील तर मग स्थानिक समुदायाबरोबर जोडून घेऊन आपण काही ऍक्टिव्हिटी करू शकतो का? शाळा सुरू होण्यासाठी सॅनिटायझर, साबण, मास्क अशा प्रकारच्या अनेक गोष्टी लागणार आहेत. त्यामुळे ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आहेतच, परंतु या नंतरच्या काळामध्ये सुद्धा पोस्ट पॅन्डेमिक सिच्युएशन मध्ये RT कबूल केलं होतं की प्रत्येक शाळेमध्ये ग्रंथालय असेल, प्रयोगशाळा असतील, खूप गोष्टी असतील. RT ला रिप्लेसमेंट म्हणून NGO नसल्या पाहिजे अशी ठाम भूमिका मला या स्टेजवरून सांगायला हवी. त्यामुळे स्कूल सपोर्ट सिस्टीम म्हणून NGOचा एक रोल आहे आणि तो रोल आपण पुढच्या काळामध्ये त्याच्याविषयी चर्चा करत राहू. मला 2-3 गोष्टी सांगायच्यात आणि मी थांबणार आहे अगदी 2 मिनिटात. त्यातली पहिली गोष्ट आहे, आज मुलांचं बालपण हरवलंय, रॅट रेस मध्ये करपून गेलेलं आहे. मगाशी आपण बघितलं की घोकमपट्टी आणि हे सगळं अपेक्षित प्रश्नांची अपेक्षित उत्तरं जी आहेत ती लिहून परीक्षा पास करता येते, परंतु जेव्हा आयुष्य अनपेक्षित प्रश्नांची अनपेक्षित उत्तरं हर घटका मागत असतं, क्षणोक्षणाला मागत असतं, तेव्हा आमच्या मुलांची त्रेधा तिरपीट उरते आणि आमची मुलं हरतात. म्हणून मला असं वाटतं की काटकोन त्रिकोण हे सगळं शिकवत राहू, परंतु दृष्टिकोन मिसिंग आहे शिक्षण क्षेत्रामधून, शिक्षणाच्या याच्यामधून तो मिळत नाही. त्याच्या संबंधानं काम करण्याची गरज आहे. आणि म्हणून मला असं वाटतं की या ठिकाणी डॉक्टर तांबे आणि आपण सगळे जे काही जागतिक समुदायामध्ये काम करणारे लोक आहोत, आपली नाळ इथल्या मातीशी, इथल्या समाजाशी जोडलेली आहे. आपण बालभवन सारखी एक संकल्पना आजच्या या स्टेजवरून, जयहिंदच्या स्टेजवरून मला असं वाटतं की मुलांचं हरवलेलं बालपण त्यांना परत देण्यासाठी खेळ, गाणी, गोष्टी, गप्पा ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी ज्या मुलांच्या आयुष्यातून हरवलेल्या आहेत आणि त्यामुळं मोठ्या प्रमाणावर मुलं वेगवेगळ्या गोष्टींशी झुंजतात आहे. मुलांना निर्णय घेता येत नाहीये. 21व्या शतकाची गरज जी आहे, युवाल नोआ हरारी जे सांगत आहे, मला वेळ नाही आणि 2 मिनिटात संपवायला सांगितलेलं आहे. त्याच्यामुळे मला असं वाटतं की बालभवन ही संकल्पना आहे. नंतर कधीतरी याच्याविषयी मी आणखी सविस्तर बोलेन, परंतु याची गरज आहे, काळाची गरज म्हणून याच्याकडे आपण बघायला पाहिजे. वेगवेगळ्या क्षेत्रात संशोधन होतात, परंतु भारताच्या संदर्भात शिक्षणामध्ये जी संशोधन आहे ती कमी होतात आहे. आणि आता सध्याच बघा, ऑनलाईन एज्युकेशन आणि त्याची परिणामकारकता आहे यासारखं एखादं संशोधन घेऊन आपण शासनासोबत काही बोलण्याची आवश्यकता आहे, त्याही गोष्टीची गरज आहे. वेगवेगळे ताण आहेत, मुलांना स्ट्रेस मॅनेजमेंट जमत नाही, त्याच्यामुळे मुलांचं समुपदेशन आवश्यक आहे. आणि ड्युरिंग द पेंडेमिक पिरियड तर आहेच, परंतु पोस्ट पेंडेमिक पिरियडमध्ये सुद्धा मुलांचं समुपदेशन, मानसिक आरोग्य हा जगाच्या पटलावर अत्यंत एक गंभीर मुद्दा म्हणून समोर उभा राहतो आहे. भारताच्या पातळीवर सुद्धा विचार केला तर 3त 1 माणूस ताणात आहे आणि या अशा परिस्थितीमध्ये मला असं वाटतं की समुपदेशनाची मोठी गरज निर्माण झालेली आहे. शिक्षण परीक्षेसाठी असतं की शिक्षण आयुष्यासाठी असतं. गांधीजींच्या शिक्षणाच्या फिलॉसॉफीचा विचार करत असताना मला असं वाटतं की ही अत्यंत महत्वाची गोष्ट आपण नोट करून ठेवून पुढे जाताना काही गोष्टी याच्याविषयी सतत बोलायला पाहिजे. जरी अनेक आपुले धर्म, जरी अनेक आपुल्या जाती, परी अभंग असू द्या सदैव आपली माणुसकीची नाती. मला असं वाटतं की भारतामध्ये ही जी बहुभाषिकता आहे, बहुसांस्कृतिकता आहे, बहुधार्मिकता जी आहे, ही वृद्धिंगत होण्यासाठी प्रयत्न करण्याची सध्या गरज आहे. कारण मला असं वाटतं मानवतेपुढे इतकं मोठं आव्हान उभं असताना आपण जर याच्याविषयी बोललो नाही, जय हिंद म्हणून आपण याच्याविषयी बोललो नाही, तर ते अपुरं राहील. म्हणून शिक्षणातून मानवतेची बीज पेरण्याचं काम आपल्याला पुढच्या काळामध्ये करायला लागणार आहे. नाहीतर लोकशाही पुढं हे एक मोठं आव्हान बनून उभं राहणार आहे. शेवटाला एक सांगतो शेवटचं, की गांधी असं एका ठिकाणी म्हणाले होते, श्रमाचं महत्व नाकारणारं जे शिक्षण आहे त्याच्या विरुद्ध व्यवस्था म्हणून आपण बंड पुकारलं पाहिजे. तर ज्या शिक्षणामध्ये श्रमाचं महत्व नाही, ते शिक्षण जगवणारं नाही, ते शिक्षण मुलांना आयुष्याला सामोरे जाण्यासाठी तयार करणारं नाही. म्हणून शिक्षणाचं महत्व जे आहे ते गांधीजींच्या फिलॉसॉफीशी जोडून घेऊन काम करण्याची गरज आहे. मला या ठिकाणी बोलवलं, बोलण्याची संधी दिली, त्याबद्दल मी जय हिंद लोक चळवळीच्या प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करतो. धन्यवाद.
We need to have better infrastructure facilities in government schools. We need to have technologically advanced schools as the most affected class due to this pandemic situation, Adi Dalits and Adivasis, where the education has not been provided with all the facilities. So thank you so much, Chaskar sir. We move on to our next speaker, Agnieszka Warpe. Agnieszka Warpe, she is from Poland. Agnieszka is a talent acquisition specialist. She has pursued her master's in endology. She is an admirer of Indian culture and philosophy.
I would request Agnieszka to please give her speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, depending on wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, namaste. I would like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Tambe for inviting me to this event, and Sandeep Katar for organizing this beautiful event. I feel very privileged to be able to give my speech here today. My name is Agnieszka Sypniewska-Warpe, and I am talent acquisition specialist by profession, but I graduated from University of Warsaw in Indology. I have master's degree in Indian culture, Sanskrit language, history of India. As a profession, what I do mostly is I match people, education skill set, experience to the best opportunities in the marketplace. Today I'm going to be speaking about importance of education in current times and different educational models. So my speech will be a little more general, not just in regards to India, but I think it will give us some good food for thoughts of what can we do as individuals to help future generations grow and develop. Many call Gandhi an utopian who dreamt of peaceful and harmonious society and world. He shared us his vision on politics and education that were very closely connected. The main aim between right political and educational systems was to bring element of goodness in every human being. He looked at education as the force that can help develop a person holistically on 4-dimensional levels of mind, spirit, body, and heart. The aim of education was not only to let people flourish on an individual level, but also to make them realize the responsibility towards the society. Gandhi emphasized that literacy in itself is no education. He regarded education as something that can bring the best in everyone, regardless of caste, creed, nationality, sex. His views on education was greatly influenced by philosophy of ahimsa, satya, the truth, strong faith in God, and respect towards labor. Gandhi focused a lot on practical skills, highlighting that vocational training and work experience are at most importance. He believed that through this approach towards education, we will be able to finally achieve peace in the world. School is the second home for our children, where they learn about the world and they find society as their place in the society. We are still looking for a golden mean in approach to educational systems, and many countries vary in their approaches. So what I would like us to do is to have a look at two completely diametrically opposed education models, which is South Korea on one side and Finland on the other. So in South Korea, there is a very strong belief that very hard work can result in future success. There is no concept of talent, as hard work and diligence are considered by the force behind the success. There is no room for failure, and children are bombarded by exam after exam as the most appreciated way of making them study. Korea is 100% literate, but this success came with price. Students are put under tremendous pressure to perform. They study all year round, first at schools, and then they go back home and they meet with private tutors. And there is also very interesting observation from Joe Tobin, a professor he's the professor in University of Georgia. And he mentioned that in South Korea, the sizes of the class is really, really very big. And the teacher is just to lead the class and for a peer relationship to develop. Whereas in the US, for example, if we take just another example of the educational model, it's much more desired to have much smaller classes, and this personal touch of the teacher-student builds teacher-student relationship. And also teacher intervenes in the peer relationships. Now let's have a look at the completely opposite side of the spectrum. Finnish model that promotes short school days, no homework, rare examination, and extracurriculars, believing that important learning happens outside the classrooms. It is about wide variety of learning experiences, low stress, intrinsic motivation, and the pursuit of personal interest. If we compare, let's say, hours of teaching that teachers spend in the classroom, let's say in Finland and US, it will be 600 hours in Finland to almost double 1,100 hours in the US. However, if there is, these are just two examples of completely different approaches to educational models, yet both produce great results. The question, however, is what do we want for our children? Finnish, where yet again, even in the year 2020, the year of the coronavirus, they were reported the happiest nation in the world. Whereas in South Korea, year on year, we have the highest rates of suicides. When we think about education nowadays, we mostly focus about benefits it is going to bring us or our children in future, equaling great job opportunities and security. Hardly any parent will think about schools as the place that is going to bring peace to the world. We definitely need more people like Gandhi who could remind us of those humanistic values that we tend to forget in our frantic world. And it is also worth pausing for a second and remind ourselves of our responsibilities towards upbringing future generations. Education does not end at school. We should ask ourselves a question: what can we do to help our children develop and be better human beings? We send our children to school at the age of approximately 5, 6, depending on country to country. However, a child's brain grows at the most rapid speed from the age 0 to 3. We have therefore a huge impact on who our child is going to become and how they will absorb the knowledge passed at educational institutions. Scientists are very curious about how human mind develops and conduct more and more studies to get better understanding on how personality is created and how human brain operates. Many agree that the most important factors behind learning is curiosity and interest. These are the forces behind creation of focus. When we look at the great world leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or Martin Luther King, we can notice that the reason why these people were actually able to gather such a crowd behind them was their passion that was driving their actions. To achieve anything in life, we definitely need hard work, but to achieve greatness, we need passion behind. It is therefore our responsibility as a parent, teacher, friend, neighbor, to develop and recognize interests and passions of our children and nurture them so that they can live the life of passion as Gandhi did and help us to create better society and the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agnieszka. My colleague Kalyani is having some issues with her network, so I would continue from here. Thank you so much, Agnieszka, once again. Agnieszka आपल्या संगमनेरची सूनही आहे आणि तिने खूप महत्त्वाचे मुद्दे इथे मांडले. 2 देशांच्या शिक्षण पद्धतीबद्दल ती बोलत होती. पण शेवटी निर्णय आपला आहे की आपल्या मुलांनी पुढे जाऊन काय व्यक्ती बनावा आणि त्यांच्यासाठी कुठल्या शिक्षण पद्धतीचं आपण अवलोकन करावं हा निर्णय आपला असणार आहे, देश म्हणून, समाज म्हणून. आणि खूप महत्त्वाचा मुद्दा तिने आपल्या समोर इथे मांडला. आपले पुढचे वक्ते जे आहेत, I would now call upon our next speaker, Miss Maliha Tabassum. I request my tech team to take Maliha on screen with us. Hello, Maliha. We welcome you to this virtual global conference.
Hello.
Maliha is a D Pharma student, a youth icon from Long Island University, New York. She served as a chapter president of the American Pharmacists Association. She's a recipient of the Mary Musen Rung, an award that recognizes women in this field. She has done numerous community projects and has a strong passion for youth and education and development. Thank you so much, Maliha, for joining us. We would request you to sum up your speech in 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are. My name is Maliha, and thank you so much for the Jaihind Party movement, especially Dr. Sudhir Tambe and Dr. Suraj Gavande for inviting me and allowing me this opportunity to be able to speak about education quality in South Asian countries. So I would like to mention a few points about like certain differences that here in US we have compared to South Asian countries. And also at the end, I would like to go over some of the suggestions that I have and I have experienced, which could perhaps help overcome these problems. So first of all, I would like to mention about the difference between the education system in both USA and the South Asian countries. For example, in America here, our learning system are more creative compared to like lecture-based or the learning in South Asian countries where it's more memorization based. Here, it's more logical and much more practical. And it's not only just exams after exams and just, you have to memorize these chapters and simply just memorize and write the answers compared to here where you're basically reading something, learning it, and being able to apply it. So that encourages the student to learn compared to just memorize and pass the exam. Secondly, I would like to mention about the infrastructure that we have between education system. For example, in America, we have like very well-established infrastructure. For example, technology. Now, during COVID-19 pandemic, as soon as we heard that situation was worse, there was a lockdown, all the schools were closed right away, and everything was virtual. Like I remember as a fourth-year PharmD student, when we were told that, there are after our spring break, there will be online classes. Right away, there was no delay, nothing, and we got that reassurance that we will have our classes on time. In addition to that, my brother, who goes to a public school in New York and my cousins, they were also given iPads. And all the students were given iPads or Chromebooks, compared to in South Asian countries where I have family, where they were told that there was some uncertainty that maybe, they will get delayed. They will not have proper classes. Eventually, I did hear that the well-off students, the privileged students, were able to, on their own expense, be able to use online services. On the other hand, the underprivileged students in the South Asian countries did not have that advantage of being able to use online technology because they just could not afford it. So as a result, they lost that opportunity of education, which I believe is a right for everyone. Thirdly, I would like to mention about the English fluency. English is a language that you can go around the world and be able to use it. However, a lot of people in South Asian countries, they go to, for example, in India, they would go to Hindi medium schools. And then after that, they would go to university where most of the courses are taught in English. So now they would struggle. They would not feel comfortable sharing what they feel. So something like that could be avoided easily if we have these kind of education in English in a very younger age. For example, in middle school, in high school, there should be at least 1 or 2 courses which prepares them to be able to use English as a language, be confident on what they're saying. So I know I mentioned some of these differences, and now how can we improve them? For example, having qualified teachers who are able to understand their students, are able to help their students, be friends with them, and understand the problem as a whole, like what would help an individual student rather than just the whole class. Have teachers who are well educated in English and can provide that same education to their students. Also have more qualified teachers compared to just few students. Not only just those rich private schools, but also those public schools where poor students attend. In addition to that, having jobs. There are some students, there are some kids who just go to work because they need the money. They think that, okay, school is a waste of time because what's the guarantee that I'll get a job after I graduate? So a reassurance would be very helpful for them. In addition to that, funding. Funding is important. For public schools in America, we have a lot of funding, which helps develop these students. For example, there was enough funding to provide every student an iPad. I'm not saying that that should be done completely in other countries, but a funding that should be used properly towards the development of students, what would help them, not just on expensive items, but something that's, for example, when during COVID, an iPad could be helpful, or like having a computer that maybe 6 or 7 students can access at the same time, so proper social distance can be maintained. Things like that could be used to improve that. And I believe that, I know I mentioned a lot of points, and I hope my suggestions would help understanding the problem and perhaps solving it. Thank you once again, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maliha. We are indeed extremely happy to see that at a young age you have grasped a lot of realities and you are able to express so many things in front of this entire global forum. We wish you all the best for all your future work there. The next we have with us Ms. Sabrina Chaudhary Raka. She is here from Bangladesh. She is from the Daffodil International University, Bangladesh. She is an active member of the Blood Donation Club and National Wing of Cadet Corps, Dhaka University, Bangladesh. She is also an executive member of a joint project in the collaboration with the University Grant Commission, University of Dhaka. She will be speaking to us in short about quality education in South Asian countries for underprivileged children. I request Sabrina to please sum up her speech in 5 to 6 minutes. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Good evening and good morning world. This is Sabrina from Global South End. Thank you, Jaihind People's Movement, mainly Dr. Gavande and JPM founder Sudhir Tambe, for inviting me to this global conference and giving me an opportunity to talk about education quality in South Asian countries compared to developed countries, mainly for unprivileged children. Malia from Newark, USA, just talked about difference between education system in USA and Asian countries. need for better infrastructure, lower confidence in youth due to lack of English fluency, lack of value inculcation, social awareness, personality development, and problems associated with poverty and populations. First, I would like to talk about quality education for rural and unprivileged children or students. The Asian education system, if improved further, will certainly raise the employability in rural and unprivileged society. If this is done, Asian countries will be able to fully use the potential of its human capital. Individual and initiative contribution in the field of education without dependence on government becomes more important at this hour. Second, there is lower awareness and ambitiousness regarding education in unprivileged families. Students from rural and unprivileged backgrounds do not feel like studying as they do not get the required atmosphere at home, and thus they show less interest in education. If you work in this area, these children can complete the education and acquire the basic skills and knowledge needed to thrive within society. For many families, the long-term benefits of sending their children to school are outweighed by the immediate need to send them to work or keep them at home to help with daily activities. We need to run a program to imbibe the importance of completing university-level education. This will raise their awareness and ambitiousness regarding education. With education, these children can come out of the trap of poverty. Third, there is no clarity in thoughts and concepts. The issue in rural and government school is as the students keep progressing through the grades with a lack of understanding of the basic concepts, his or her ability to comprehend complexities of the same concepts in the higher grades keeps going down. And therefore, the students begins to lag behind academically, eventually reaching a stage of frustration and stress, resulting in dropout or passing out of the schools or college with limited skills to cope up with what higher or university education has to offer. We can help them with online tutorials, which can aid them in clearing the difficult concepts and milestones of their life. Thank you. Stay healthy and safe.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, for joining us live today. We wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. With this, we come to the end of this session on education. I thank all our esteemed speakers who have been with us today, Dr. Sudhirji Tambe, Vivek Sawant sir, Dr. Ajay Poddarji, Bhausep Saskar, Agnieszka, Maliha, and Sabrina. We indeed are very happy that you all could join us today for this virtual global conference 2020 coming together for peace, harmony, and progress. As we move on to our next session for this day, which is titled The World is Flat. Jaihind People's Movement, Virtual Global Conference 2020, coming together for peace, harmony, and progress. आजच्या आपल्या दुसऱ्या सत्राचा जो विषय आहे तो अतिशय आपल्या सगळ्यांना मनाशी भिडणारा आहे, तो म्हणजे युवकांबद्दल. भारत हा युवा देश आहे हे तर म्हणतोच, पण जगभरातही युवकांची संख्या वाढत आहे आणि त्यामुळे युवकांच्या दृष्टिकोनातून वेगवेगळ्या विषयांकडे बघणं, युवकांची एक काय वाटचाल सध्या सुरू आहे त्याबद्दल एक विचार विनिमय वेगवेगळ्या युवक नेत्यांशी करणं, म्हणून खरं तर हा विषय आपण ह्या कॉन्फरन्समध्ये घेत आहोत. द वर्ल्ड इज फ्लॅट, म्हणजेच पृथ्वी ही भुईसपाट आहे, ही कल्पनाच भन्नाट आहे. आपण इतिहासामध्ये आणि भूगोलमध्ये पृथ्वीबद्दल अनेक गोष्टी शिकतो, पण वैचारिक दृष्ट्या द वर्ल्ड इज फ्लॅट ही जी कॉन्सेप्ट आहे ती एका पुस्तकामध्ये पण नमूद आहे. थॉमस फ्राइडमॅन यांनी त्यांच्या एका पुस्तकामध्ये हे शब्द वापरलेत. पण आजच्या आपल्या या कॉन्टेक्स्टमध्ये, इन टुडेज कॉन्टेक्स्ट, वी स्पीक ऑफ दिस टर्म in the session with regards to the overarching source of energy and hope, the youth of this globe. We seek to explore through this session the life, the challenges, experiences, and achievements of the young blood, working in diverse situations, different continents, plowing through vast gamut where opportunities for all are available. Swami Vivekananda says, take risks in your life. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, you can guide. This is important. आयुष्यात जोखीम घ्यायला शिका. जिंकलात तर नेतृत्व करा, हारलात तर मार्गदर्शन करा. With this note, we begin this session with a bhajan that was very close to Mahatma Gandhiji's heart, Vaishnava Janto. This bhajan that we are playing here today has a significance because it has been recorded in several languages from all over the world. I would request my tech team to please go ahead and play the bhajan for us.
सकल लोक मान सहने वंदे सकल लोक मान सहने वंदे निंदा ना करे के नीरे निंदा न करे के नीरे काच काच मना निश्चल राखे धन धन जनानी देनी रे वैष्णव जनता तेन कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन को तेने कहिए जे वैष्णव जन को तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
Adupe ubkare kare toye manhavimanam ane re.
सकल लोकमा सहोने वंदे
निंदा न करे के नीरे जीवा थकिय सत्य न बोले भरधन नव ज्वले हार रे
वैष्णव जन को तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे महामाया प्रिय प्रिय नहीं जेने दृढ़ वैराग्य जेनो मन मारे
Ramamashu Tahinagi Sakala Kirata Tera Taramare
वैष्णव जन तो तेनी कहिए जे पीर पराई जानी रे पर दुख उपकार करे तोय मन विमान रे
pazzerachice kamakara divarare
भाणे नरसायो ठेनो दर्शन करता कुळाई गोतीर ठार्या रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहीजे मेरी मराठी
With this, I hand over the reins of this session to my colleague Rishika Raka, who is joining us today from Mumbai, an elected young representative in the urban local governance body herself and a budding youth leader. There wouldn't be a better moderator for this session, I feel, as this power-packed session has leaders, youth icons from across India, USA, UK, and Bangladesh joining live with us. Over to you, Rishika.
Thank you so much, Utkarsha ji. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody watching us here today. I welcome you all to this session of the Jaihind Global Conference 2020. It is an absolute honor to be hosting a session that is so power-packed with such great young leaders who I wish to meet someday, not just digitally, but personally as well. And without wasting any more of our time, let's jump in directly to introducing the great people we have with us today. The first being Mr. Neeraj Antani. It is absolutely amazing to hear the story of this gentleman. A 3-time representative from the Ohio House of Representatives, Mr. Neeraj Antani is one of the very few Indians across the world who is sitting in a political leadership position in another country but India. To do that in USA at a mere age of 23, in a constituency dominated by Americans is an absolutely commendable deal. And Mr. Antani has also been featured in the Forbes 30 Under 30. Mr. Antani, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. Moving on to our second speaker, the very well-known young leader from Maharashtra as well as India, wearing many hats here with us today is Mr. Satyajit Tambe. He is very well known as someone with a global mind, yet a local heart. He has been in the local governing body, which is the Zilla Parishad of Ahmednagar, for 2 consecutive terms since a very young age. He played an active role in the National Student Movement of India, then got elected twice to be the Vice President and currently the President of Maharashtra Pradesh State Congress. He is also the President of Jaihind Yuva Manch, the President of the Cricket Association of Sangamner, and also a member of the Maharashtra Cricket Association. An alumni of the Harvard Kennedy School, he has been involved actively in the local, national, and global activities. He has also been awarded as the Lokmat Maharashtrian of the year 2019. Satyajit ji, it's an absolute pleasure to have you sitting on the dais there today. The third person that we have, and I am proud to introduce her as a woman, is Miss Sanam Arora. She is a British Indian young leader who currently is working as the president of the National Indian Students Union, UK. With a bachelor's degree from the London School of Economics, she has been working as the chairperson of the Overseas Youth of India as well. She is best known for galvanizing youth away from home and creating an atmosphere for them to grow abroad. Thank you so much, Sanam ji, for joining us here today. Apologies. Let's now move on to another astonishing person that we have with us here today, Mr. Siddharth Mukne. Siddharth ji is the regional head at the UK Indian Business Council and is responsible for engaging with companies from UK with an interest in the Indian market. He holds a PGDM and Executive MBA from UK universities. He also has a strong background in business and project management, having worked with multinational engineering and life sciences companies. Sir, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Moving on to our last panelist for today, Dr. Suraj Gawande. Suraj is a gold medalist and scholastic student as he secured the 8th rank in all over India National Institute entrance exam in 2005.
He is currently holding dual position, research and infrastructure, assistant director at the New York University and professor at the Wayne State University, US. The US government recently awarded him with a $3 million allotment for his cancer COVID-19 drug discovery. Suraji is also a global coordinator with the Jaihind Global Movement. Suraji, thank you so much for joining us here today. Without wasting any of our time, I'm sure the audience has gotten a hint of how interesting, how global this panel discussion is going to be. And let's directly dive into chatting with our great leaders from across the country, across the globe, and understand what their struggles and successes have been like. Mr. Neeraj Antani ji, if I could have you here first with us today. Some of us briefly, some of us vastly have heard about your struggles and successes since a very, very young age. We would love to hear this journey from your own words, sir. If we could please have Neeraj Antani ji.
Well, thank you for having me, sir. I cannot join you by video, but I am on the phone here, and thank you so much for having me. Like Rishka said, my name is Neeraj Antani. I serve as a state representative in the Ohio House of Representatives. For those in India, that is the equivalent of being an MLA. I have served now since 2014 for about 5.5 years, and was honored to be, am honored to be the youngest Indian American elected official in the country, as well as the only Indian American state elected official in Ohio. For us, in America, I am the son of Indian immigrants, right? My parents came from India to the United States in 1978 and became citizens in 1984. And I was born here. And so, for me, it's a great honor to be able to carry on the torch of the Indian community and the Indian immigrant community specifically. That said, obviously that, like the question asked, brings certain challenges. It is very difficult being, a young legislator when most of your colleagues are twice or thrice your age. But, to me, it's incredibly important for our generation to have a voice. And so, thank you for having me, and very happy to be with you.
Thank you so much, Neeraj ji. Let's move on to the president of Maharashtra State Youth Congress that we have here with today, Satyajit Tambe ji. Satyajit ji, you have also had a journey that started at a very young age. You have been in the local governing body for about 10 years and have been struggling in the political field since your student movement. Could we hear some words from you, sir, about your journey, the struggles and the successes?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Jaihind People's Movement and all the volunteers across the globe who tried hard for last few months to make this conference a great success. I started my political journey in year 2001 as a student's leader in NSUI, which is a students' wing of Indian National Congress, which is a grand old party of India. In 2007, I got an opportunity to contest the elections for district council, and I got elected from Ahmednagar district. I got two consecutive terms to work as a Jila Parishad member in Ahmednagar district. I simultaneously was also working in an organization, and from NSUI, the next step towards within the Congress party is Youth Congress, which is a youth wing of Indian National Congress. In 2007, I got promoted in Youth Congress. I started working in Youth Congress. 2008, I was appointed as a General Secretary of Maharashtra Youth Congress. In 2010, I contested Youth Congress elections. Our leader, Rahul Gandhi, started a new process of internal democracy where all Youth Congress and NSUI positions were elected through a democratic process. I contested these elections thrice in 2011, 2014, and in 2018 again, third time when I got elected as a president of Youth Congress. So it is almost 19, 20 years of my social political journey, right from students movement to a youth empowerment movement, and through the local body experience of 10 years where I got an opportunity to work in healthcare, in education, in infrastructure, urban development, rural development. And I'm glad to share this experience with you.
Thank you so much, Satyajit ji. Like I said, you're not just a young leader within Maharashtra, but also nationally and globally seen that way. Sanam Arora ji, I personally take a lot of pride in inviting you to speak next about your struggles and successes as you lead the student movement in UK, the Indian student movement, and also the chairperson of the overseas students of India. How has the journey been and how did you get there?
Thank you, Rishika, and thank you, Jaihind People's Movement, for inviting me. It's a great honor to address the gathering here today, and hello to all the panelists, wherever you are in the world. Look, I came as a student to the UK. I was born in Delhi. Although I have a lot of love for Maharashtra and Bombay and Pune and all the various cities, I was born in Delhi, so I'm a Pakki Delhiite in that sense. And I came to London when I was a child, essentially to study. And it was when I came here that I realized, and I went to university, I went to the LSE to do my undergraduate, that I realized actually everyone talks about students, students are the future. Everyone talks about young people. There is such a great focus on bringing more Indian students to the UK or elsewhere in the world. Everyone speaks of Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella and, all the various amazing youth icons we have in the world, Indian youth icons who are leading us in various places in the world today, but no one really asks them what they want. No one really in particular says to them, we're making policies about you. What would you like them to be? And, back in the day when sort of this was in around 2011-12, I noticed that there was a lot of this sort of negative rhetoric around Indian students. Indian students come over and, they become bogus students in London and they start, they're not really doing their studies, etc. There's lots of negative rhetoric, all sort of political driven underneath. And I sort of said, well, this is not done. Indian students contribute a lot to the British economy. Indian students are youth icons all over the world. We lead some of the biggest companies in the world. So actually, it's about time that India was recognized and Indian young people were recognized as contributors, net contributors, politically, economically, socially, geographically, etc. And so I started the National Indian Students Union movement in the UK to bring all Indian students together on one platform. And actually, it was a couple of years ago, someone said to me, someone very senior from the Indian political fraternity said to me, Indian students have gone on to study in the UK for decades and centuries. But you were the guys who recognized that they needed to all be brought together into a national body. And so you should be very proud of yourself. And I sort of sat back and thought to myself, actually, that's true. How many Indian prime ministers have studied in the UK or have deep connections to the UK? And yet we didn't have a national movement. And I hope that this spreads all over the world to bring Indian students worldwide together. But that's really the sort of, that was the inspiration to really bring that Indian student voice to the fore and recognize us as a community in our own right. We bring billions of dollars to the world economy every year. There are more than 300,000 Indian students that go abroad to study. That, my friends, is a country the size of the Bahamas that leaves India to study every year. Where is the return on our collective investment? And so really, when we spend these billions and billions of dollars every year to educate our youngsters abroad, which is, for soft power and other reasons, very necessary, India needs return on investment. So my entire journey for uniting students together, Indian students together, at least in the UK, was with the point of view of bringing everyone together and fostering a sense of community and fostering a sense of giving back. And so to me, that giving back to our communities is very important, whether we're in the UK, when we're studying here, living here, working here, or whether it's when we go back, ultimately giving back to our country. And I'm a very, very firm believer in doing well by doing good. So I am in investment banking and asset management. I am a strategy consultant. That's how I earn my bread and butter. But in the little part-time, free time I have, I can give back to society and I can give back to my country. And so that's really the kind of ethos we want to instill in people. So with that note, I'll sort of leave it there, but that's kind of the inspiration for our journey.
That is super, super inspiring, Sanamji. What was interesting was to hear that you're also an investment banker. That I understand is a whole full-time job by itself that takes so much out of you. But when you go beyond that and you try to give back to your society, and like you rightly spoke about the billions and billions of dollars that we spend as Indians towards the global economy, what is our return? And that's something that we need to think about. Now that we've come to the topic of business, I must now invite Siddharth Mukneji to talk to us about his journey, about the making of the UK-India Business Association, him being a director there, and what is the story like, sir? If we could hear from you, please.
Thank you very much, Rasika. I would like to, first of all, thank you very much for Jaihind Movement for creating this platform for all of us. And high regards to all the panelists and all the attendees. I think my story will relate to each and every youth living in villages or small town, because that's where I came from, with very small, and the only small ambition was going to Mumbai that time. And from there to come to here, I think that is, I've always believed that I've lived many lives in one life, and I'm really fortunate in that sense. So I think that the reason actually of the being successful, or what I don't know what is the definition of success, but where I have been now at the moment, I think the only thing I followed in my life is that to, if I say in Marathi, to I just स्वप्नांचा I just ध्यास धरावा अट्टहास नको. So I just always follow that principle. किंवा अट्टहास केला तर you not get going through the right path. But if you are with ध्यास ठेवला, तर I think you going through the right path to achieve your goal. And I always followed that principle in my life till now. So when my background is in engineering, then I moved to work around different countries, including UK, Switzerland, and Republic of Ireland, in engineering and life science industry, in project management, various areas. But I realized that when I was in Switzerland, and then I had the opportunity to work with India at that time. That time I realized that how big gap is there, that the expectation from Indian perspective and from the European companies. And then I thought that I could be the perfect the bridge between these two cultures and support those activities. And when I was looked into this role that time, mostly London was more focused on about India and engage with Indian market, but the rest of the region were not aware about India market. I think they had some kind of phobia about engage with India market. So my challenge was is quite huge to create that awareness about what they are missing out, not going or engaging with India. And that's why I started my role as initially as an advisor to reach out to the businesses through the Welsh government, Scottish government, Department for International Trade, Chamber of Commerce, to reach out businesses and guide them and help them to engage with India. And I'm so pleased now that many of across UK now the businesses are thinking about India, and many of them are actively engaged with India. But at the same time, as Sanam is said, because I've looked Sanam's work very closely since we both are in UK, I also followed that path to how I can give back. Business is one part, but as a social part, how I can support my country back to my village or Maharashtra or in India. So I got engaged with the Hemal Kasa Health Foundation UK. So I'm a trustee here and helping them to fulfill their projects one after another. So we have supporting them for last 6 years. Then I have created the platform called Culture and Arts to support the artists from UK to India and India to UK. So to just give the recognition to them. And there is a kind of trying to balance both the sides. That one side I want to support the businesses to engage with India, but the other side I want to make sure that there is a kind of a partnership or collaboration between the culture side and as well as the social side as well.
Thank you so much, Siddharthi. That is actually a vast resume that we call that you sit with a lot of diverse experience that you come with in the field of business. And I'm sure it's helping a lot of us who are moving abroad, either to study, where Sanam Arora ji is helping us, or they're trying to do businesses within UK or otherwise. Let us now move on to another global figure that we have. Dr. Suraj Gamande is sitting here with us from the USA. Dr. Suraj, you hail from Sangamner. आप संगमनेर में रहते थे, यहाँ के एक परिवार से थे, सर्वसाधारण बैकग्राउंड से थे, और वहां से लेकर न्यूयॉर्क की आपकी क्या जर्नी है और क्या आपने स्ट्रगल्स देखे, संक्षिप्त में हमें बताइए सर।
Thank you, Rishika ji. First of all, I would like to thank our JPM founder, Dr. Sudhir Tambe sahib, Durga Tai ji, and organizer like local team, Sandeep ji and Jagdani Kaka, and all the portfolio members. And I would also like to thank our global coordinators. Such a great conference we are having, and I can say this is the first time we are having this such a platform and talking on the different subjects. So when it comes to me, I come from very humble background. I was born and brought up in small village called Kotri Haveli in Sangamner, which is located in also Maharashtra. My family's main source of income came through the farming, and I have 5 siblings. And it was very difficult for my parents to prioritize and spend on each kid's education or the other things. But I was motivated to study and progress in my life. So I took small jobs during nights to support my education. And I kept chasing my dreams. Like one of the speaker, Siddharth Mukherjee said that, chase your dream, that's dhara. And so I was like that. And through hard work and persistence, I did my master in Chandigarh. Then I moved to Australia to do my PhD. And then after my PhD, I got an offer from Purdue University in USA to do my postdoctoral training. I had a scholarship and awards throughout my education. And because of the hard work I had put in. Obviously, my family and friends like Satyajit Tambe always stood with me through thick and thin. So initially in USA, I struggled a lot to find a job due to immigration policies. We have Neeraj over here. He can he can tell his struggle in hours and hours and how we immigrants struggle over here. But that teaches us keep fighting. And then also the biggest motivation I had, that was my wife. They say behind every successful man there stands a strong and motivated woman. And then my wife she kept me motivating, and I also made my mind to say that never give up. As Rishika ji said that with US government fundings, I was able to secure dual position at different places on the basis of pure determination and perseverance. Yes, that is true that I'm living the dream of life. But I'm still very connected with my roots. And आपण जे म्हणतो ना की किती मोठे झालो तरी आपण आपल्या ज्या मातृभूमीचे कर्जदार असतो आणि आमची माती आमची माणसं. That's why that chord always with me, and that's why I became a Jaihind People's Movement Global Coordinator to contribute towards the people through JPM and help youths to fight the odds and just stay positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suraj. I think the audience is very well versed with the 5 speakers we have here. And it is very exciting to say that we have such a diverse background, everybody moving in steps of leaderships in different ways. But the only points that I picked up, the important ones from all 5 of your introductions, was that there was hard work, there was persistence, and there was a willingness to do something good in this world, is why all of you are sitting here with us today. So thank you so much again. If we could dial back to Mr. Tambe, sir, I would like to ask you another question, wherein for any young man or woman to be successful, it is imperative for them to live by a set of values and principles. What are these values and principles that you live by and swear by every day of your life?
So indeed, values are the most important factor in life journey, I would say. Values are a very important factor, and it takes a lot of time to understand what values you follow. Most of the people in their entire lifetime, they don't even realize what values they had followed in their life, So it is a very tough thing to understand, and that is what I call as a maturity. that when you understand purpose of life and when you understand values which you have to follow is something which is a peak of your maturity. I personally follow trustworthiness as a value which I have I would like to follow in my life. Authenticity is something which is very important, like Mahatma Gandhi has said, and values are very important to build a character, which is the most important thing in any human being's life. And Mahatma Gandhi has also said that a man with character uh, can basically a man of character can take a responsibility and work on any job given to him. So I personally feel that value are very important. I personally follow trustworthiness and authenticity as value in my life.
Thank you, Mr. Tambe. There are two indeed very important values that the youth of today needs to follow and live by. Mr. Antani ji, if we have you with us here still, I'd love to ask you also, being an active politician in the USA, what are the sets of values and principles you follow, sir?
Sure. Well, thank you, and a very important question. And for me, it's very simple, which is it's the Indian values that I grew up on. I think that we as Indians and Indian Americans have a strong sense of a work ethic, a strong sense of respecting our culture and our elders, and really to know that at the end of the day we have to stick with our community and fight for our community. And so that's what I've tried to do here in the State House in Ohio, and what I'll continue to do.
Very well said, Mr. Antani, that Indian values are going to stick with every Indian wherever they go across the world. I want to move to Sanam Arora ji. Being a young woman in a field which of active leadership in so many ways that you are, what kind of participation do you see from women within your field, or what do you portray women should do to be involved in active leadership and politics beyond that?
That Rishika is a very interesting question. So I lead two lives, right? One is my day life where I'm in investment management and wealth management. One is the leadership, the youth leadership life. And there have been many instances where, regardless of which of my two lives I'm in, so say whether I'm in the educational, youth development, political field, or sometimes whether I'm in the banking side in wealth management and asset management, I can recall countless instances where I walked into a room and there's 40, 50 middle-aged white or brown men sitting, and I'm the only female, and I'm only the young person there, someone, and the average age in the room is about twice or 2.5 or 3 times my age, and I'm the only female there. I'm going, you're talking about youth development? Where is the youth? You're talking about students? Where are the students? We're talking about getting young people to save more money so they can, develop the economy, etc., and ring fence an investment cycle. Where are the young people? And as I've sort of gone through this journey of, in various circumstances, getting a sight of what's wrong, there's no seat at the table, or there hardly has been a seat at the table. And there's a lot of good stuff being said in the world now about, getting women that seat at the table and bringing women to the forefront, etc., and talking about women's empowerment. And I'm like, women are pretty empowered already, right? It's you who needs to recognize what their real place in society is. And feminism, for example, has become this rather misused word. And then, people will often use terms like feminazi for feminism, for example. And I'm sat there going, no, it's just humanity, and what you need to develop is a sense of humanity and a sense of equality. So if there's any young woman sitting out there listening to me at the moment, and actually for all the men out there, to me, women's role in politics, women's role in development and society is no different to a man's role. It just needs to be given the same importance. And that importance, as much as it comes from the males, it comes from the women themselves. And, if we look around, Margaret Thatcher actually once very popularly said, she was obviously a former British Prime Minister and credited with a lot of Britain's transformation. She famously once said, if you want something to be done, give it to a woman, right? Women are doers by design. So if there are people out there listening to this, I think the one thing to remember is that females get things done. Females naturally are better multitaskers, right? And look at your mums at homes, or mums with jobs who are managing so much together, and just look at the women around you, right? They're naturally better at doing a lot of things than men are. Obviously, men and women have our own strengths and sort of accomplishments that go alongside that. But women need to recognize their own strength. We are not here to ask to be given that opportunity. We are here to take it. That seat at that table is ours as much as it is another person's. And sometimes we find, I've observed this many a time in young girls, young students, young people entering the finance industry, young women, they have a sense of self confusion. And why do I use that word? I use that word because they're not always sure that they can do what's being asked of them. They know everything. I have been in situations where, there are 20 people sitting down there, 10 women, 10 men, young people, a question has been asked of them or a problem has been given to them to solve. The immediate hand that goes up is that of the guys. The girls don't raise their hands. And I know for a fact, having been in that situation, that the girls know the answer, but they're just not sure enough that they'll be able to put the answer out there. The males, on the other hand, no offense to all the males out there and on this panel, often don't know the answer, but they have conviction that they will figure the answer out. In Britain, we say we'll wing it. They have the conviction that they'll wing it, and often they do. And that to me is just natural. You don't always need to know the answer. You just need to have enough confidence that you'll work it out. We women tend to be a bit more shy and a bit more not open about saying what we feel and saying what we truly think. Actually, we don't need to have that sort of confusion or not, low levels of confidence. It is about recognizing the strength within us, and the strength within us is we can do anything we want. And just look at the people around, man. Look at Indira Gandhi, right? First female Prime Minister of India. Whatever may be said politically, put that aside. But look at her journey and look at the guts she had to do some of the things she did, right? If we take 1% of those guts and put them in us, the world is our oyster. Look at, in Israel, when the missions were being launched recently, right? You looked at the room. How many women did you spot in that room? How many women right at the top, wearing their saris, wearing their bindis, did you spot? It is very possible to do everything we want to do without compromising on what may be deemed as cultural values, what may be deemed as social values, and actually finding a really happy balance. And Indian women don't need empowerment. Indian women just need to develop confidence that everything that a man can do, they can do better.
Thank you so much. You have somewhere inspired me sitting here, hosting this session too. And for our viewers, मैं आपकी दो लाइनें बस हिंदी में फिर से बताना चाहती हूँ कि सनम जी ने बड़ी सही तरीके से ये कहा है कि हमें इक्वालिटी की जरूरत नहीं है. जहां एक सीट पड़ी है तो वो सीट आदमी की उतनी ही है जितनी औरत की है. कमी है तो कई सारी औरतों में उस कॉन्फिडेंस की. इन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी तरीके से इंदिरा गांधी जी की बात की और उनके कॉन्फिडेंस को सलामी देते हुए वो बताती है कि बस हमें महिलाओं को हमारे अंदर वो कॉन्फिडेंस को ढूंढने की जरूरत है. बहुत बार आदमी भले ही खड़े हो जाते हैं कोई आंसर देने के लिए, पर शायद उनको आंसर मालूम भी नहीं रहता है, जबकि महिलाओं को वो आंसर मालूम रहता है, फिर भी वो बोल नहीं पाती हैं. So let's all together find that confidence and boost the confidence within females. I just want to relay this question back to Satyajit ji. Satyajit ji, within the Indian young political circle, you are very well known and reputed to be somebody who has been promoting young women to join politics and active leadership. I would love to understand your perspective on this aspect of women empowerment, sir.
I completely agree to what Sanam has said. In fact, when I visited Israel a couple of years back, and I visited a Gaza Strip border on a Israeli border of Gaza, and there were some radars, and those radars were basically handled by, operated by women soldiers. So I asked the commander, why are the women soldiers given such a important responsibility? Because Gaza border is something which is very important strategically for Israel. So the answer which the commander gave was very interesting, and he said that women are multitasking, and here the responsibility is just not to monitor and just not to keep a watch on what is happening, but simultaneously also give the instructions back in the control room, also take some actions if needed on the spot, and it is completely multitasking work. And so I completely agree with what Sanam is saying. And when I was elected, Rishika, you know very well that in a youth congress, in my first meeting, there were only a couple of women. In fact, 100 young women were elected along with me in Maharashtra. So I gave a responsibility to one of my colleagues to call all these 100 women and call them for my oath taking ceremony. Out of 100, almost 70 were not aware that they are being elected in youth congress. You know, so that was the scenario. 30 who were who knew that they are now office bearers of youth congress did not want to come for the program, and only 2-3 came. Now I am very proud that today my committee has 33% of representation of women in youth congress, Maharashtra State Youth Congress Committee. I personally feel that, and again, I have one more observation which I feel is very important. Is in India we have 50% reservations for women in local bodies now. Unfortunately, there is a rotation system in reservation. So one term, if you are an corporator or a Jila Parishad member or a Panchayat Samiti member, whatever, in any local body, it is not assured that in next term you will get an opportunity to contest the election, because there is a rotation system and reservations keep on changing. So people are like young women, and women are groomed for 5 years. They get an opportunity, they get an exposure, they get a experience of working in local bodies and governance. And in next 5 years, they are completely at home because they don't get an opportunity to contest the election again. So complete 5 years of their experience is wasted. They sit at home. I have seen a lot of such women who were working with me as Jila Parishad member, and today they are nowhere. So I personally feel that there should be a continuous process to engage these women and use their experience. So I am a strong believer that women empowerment is a way for a healthier society.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tambe. Like you rightly did say, yes, I have personally seen how you have helped shape the career of multiple women within politics, and that is definitely something that we salute you for. Mr. Antani ji, if you're still here with us right now, another question that I would like to ask you, sir, is that, like you said, there is a whole lot of struggle that came with becoming one of the youngest leaders in the US, coming from Indian blood. So what was your source of inspiration for doing this? And which school of thought do you identify yourself with?
Well, thank you. And yeah, you know, obviously being a young elected official is not easy when, you know, most elected leaders are, you know, in their 60s and 70s. But, you know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, young people deserve a seat at the table. You know, my inspiration comes from a lot of different areas. It comes from, you know, sure, yes, American politicians who I look up to, but also from the story of the Indian American. You know, I think of, you know, my uncle who, you know, immigrated here in the 1960s with, you know, very, very little, and in the hope for a better life, and that, you know, definitely influences me and the way that I think about, and you know, keeps me going. And you know, I think about, you know, my struggles are simply, you know, not even near the struggles of those who immigrated or those who fought for Indian independence. And so, you know, I try to keep that in mind every day.
Thank you, Mr. Antani. That was, in fact, motivating to understand that you could take that up at the age of 23 and to still be so modest enough to understand and believe that your struggles are nothing compared to what our forefathers have had is commendable. And I guess that is what pushes you to achieve all the big things in life that you are. Mr. Tambe, would you like to comment on the same? What school of thought do you identify yourself with, sir, being in active politics?
So ideologically, I am secular by heart. So my thoughts are always secular, and I follow secularism, just not for politics, but in my routine life also. I firmly believe that we all are one, and there should be equality amongst the human being. I think my definition for secularism is also very easy, that everybody has a right to follow whatever faith they have, and we should respect it. So I firmly believe in that.
Thank you, Mr. Tambe. I want to move to Siddharth ji very quickly. So within these COVID times that we've had hit across the world, obviously everybody is very highly affected. But I think one of the major affected part or segment of the entire globe has been the youth who started up new jobs, the youth who started up new ventures as entrepreneurs, or just businesses across the world. What, sir, are your observations and what are your suggestions to the youth across the world of how can they get through these times from a business angle?
You're muted.
So you're on mute. If you could please unmute yourself.
I can't unmute. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rasika. Now, it is absolutely a very valid question for today's scenario, what we are going through all. But I see there's a lot many businesses are suffering. We all know that. But I think I would see this is particularly for the youth who are or entrepreneur or just starting up the new businesses. I think it could be the new opportunity as well, because sometimes you need a kind of pause button to just think that what they want to achieve, what they where they would like to see themselves over next 5 years, 10 years. But I think this situation has given that kind of the break to understand, to just sit back and understand what they want to achieve in their life. And I think this will create a lot of opportunity. I know that in current scenario, there's a lot of business are shutting down, and then a lot of good news around us. But I strongly believe that this is only, as we know, there's a time being. These things will get over very soon, hopefully. But once it will get over, I could see the silver lining at the end, and I think that's where they need to prepare for it. And that's what I think they need to, like the healthcare sector. I think that is going to be flourish after this situation. And particularly about India's case, unfortunately, India didn't give much attention to healthcare sector for so long. I don't think we are spending even 1% of our GDP on healthcare. So now I think this is an opportunity to create the infrastructure and to provide their knowledge and their expertise in different fields. I think this will give the great opportunity for them to think ahead for the future.
That's a very valid point, sir. And I hope the youths got a few points out of what you said to be able to sustain these tough times that have hit the entire world. I want to move to Dr. Suraj now. Dr. Suraj, you are somebody who has been, like we discussed, moved from India to the United States and studied there and settled there now. I want to ask you a twofold question. Firstly, what are your comments on the whole immigration policy that is being spoken about so much today? How does it affect the youth? And secondly, like we see, there are hundreds of CEOs of many big global companies who are Indian-blooded people. How can we retain such talent in India? And why are we unable to retain that talent in India as of today? Would love to hear from you.
Rishika ji, very interesting questions, both of them. First one is the immigration policies. So because of COVID-19, there are a lot of Indian students are struggling, not only in US, but also across the globe. The reason behind that, because they don't get the student scholarship. They're not having the access from the support or access from the those particular governments and not also from India. So those students are really struggling. There are many students, they have they spend like almost $50,000 to come to US or UK to study. And then some of the universities got shut down. So many students are struggling. We look after like higher education. When it comes to the higher education, we look after most of the developed countries. And the current situation right now because of COVID-19 and the other economical sinking, there is a lot of problems students are facing. The second question is about it's CEO of the major global companies are Indians, and why India unable to utilize those talents, what we are missing, and what is our vision for that one. So if you see that, youth of our nation has, its finger on the mouse of the computers, and it's changing the world. India's journey has gone from snake charmers to the mouse charmers. Okay, so that's an excellent journey, and there is multiple reasons are there, but I would like to emphasize few of them. The reason behind that India doesn't even have a single university in the top 20 of the world, top 200 in the world, and it's mainly many factors involved in there. Like Siddharji said that we need to have the good infrastructure, good the pro governance things for the to handle this COVID-19. I feel same thing for the universities. I think we need not all the surprisingly that extraordinary talents such as Satya Nadella or the Google CEO Sundar Pichai ji or IBM CEO Mr. Arvind Krishna ji. They're all amongst the who hail from the middle class families, and they exited India for their higher education. And but what happened? Indian policymakers need to seriously get their act right in preventing this, which can be accomplished in the meaningful manner. It means only creating allowing the world for the class universities in India. We need to make those CEOs our advisors or make their help to build up our top-notch Silicon Valley in India. I don't want to go political way, but I just feel like this one funny. Some leaders enjoy Jadu Ki Jappi and photos with them, with these CEOs and all that for their TRP, but not taking their help to build our nation as a developed country. If we look at in USA, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, or Warren Buffett, they all are sitting in the US government business panelists and advisors. There are another factor is as much as it's important to build the toilets, bring more than 300 million poor people into the financial net. That is also important factor. We take at least one Indian university into the global top of the 50, then we can do much better. Even among the elite Indian administrative universities and taxpayers' expenses, it's sometimes, it's a complex, I feel like it's perplexing how nation that can reach to the moon and Mars can't build a world-class university in our country. So that's a question I have for everyone. So we have to think, because youth, like Rajiv Gandhi ji said that, education, youth, those are the future of our nation. And India has one of the most highest number of the youngest population. So we have to think about their education. We have to think about in our education sector. Dr. Tambe Sahib put it very beautiful way. He said it that what we need to do, that vision we need to bring to have the world-class education, so we can keep our top-notch talented people in our country. So another factor is आपने देखा होगा कि Make in India, it was a bumper share का देखा होगा. It's like I feel like I don't want to get into that, but it's the biggest joke in the now at international level. We need to what we have to do, what we do, what we believe, our values, our ethics. Like that Satyajit Dada said, you have to have genuine and trustworthy things. Make the person who is there, who can make the promise and implement those promises. But right now, I don't think so. I can see that one. We need a good economist in the government to reform our sinking economy. US is also facing same issues, leadership crisis. Okay, so we need P2G2, pro people, good governance. India needs to further improve government regulation to encourage support for technological innovation, train tech talent, incentivize to stay in the country and continue to improve their risk profile by attracting significant foreign and domestic investment in technology. Provided this favorable condition can be met, India has unmatched potential to become the world's next Silicon Valley. We have Bangalore, we have Gurgaon as one of the, and Pune also as emerging Silicon Valleys, but one day artificial intelligence is going to snatch our jobs. across the globe. So we have to have the plan to tackle these potential problems. In US government, when it comes to the small business, they give a grants and fundings around 50 lakhs to 2 lakh rupees, 2 crore rupees for your innovative idea, and you don't have to return them. So US also provides monthly support around $1,000 to disabled and unemployed students. I'm emphasizing unemployed students because we need to create such a platform for our youth. I do remember, Satyajit Dada and we are like a shared friendship from long time. I do remember he always fight for and stand for unemployed youths. So the another sector I want to say, you will say that our ex-Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi ji created the AIMS. Rajiv Gandhi ji created IITs. So he had a vision. I can say that he was the only young leader, young Prime Minister who had a vision, and he's the there are 5 factors he made bring in the picture. We had our inauguration session speaker, Sam Pitroda. He brought a telecom and computer revolution in India when Rajiv Gandhi ji was Prime Minister. Rajiv Gandhi ji also changed the India forever in voting age of the youths. He sought to give empower to the youths. And then, Satyajit Dada, or if you look at in US, Neeraj Antani, at the age of very young age, they become the social leader and visionary leader. Rajiv Gandhi ji also he created the laying foundation for the Panchayat Raj institution in order to take the democracy to the grassroots level. He also modernized and expand higher education program across the country. And some of the global CEOs studied in those IITs. Who is the founder of those IITs? It was Rajiv Gandhi ji. So what we need a visionary and inclusive leader like our Satyajit Dada said. His thoughts is all about the secularism. He is a very inclusive leader like Rajiv Gandhi ji. मला एक गोष्ट सांगूशी वाटते की मी आता जे मी यंग मिनिस्टर बघतो, यंग लीडर्स बघतो महाराष्ट्रामध्ये किंवा भारतामध्ये सुद्धा, मला तुम्ही असा एक लीडर दाखवा. आय एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू बोस्ट माय फ्रेंड सत्यजित दादा, बट आय हॅव सीन हिम फ्रॉम लास्ट 20-30 years. He knows पुण्यश्लोक Ahilaji Holkar. He knows Jijamataji. He knows the Savitribai Phule. He knows the संविधानचे जे निर्माते होते बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर. He knows everything, and he has very strong Purogami vichar, and he is a very progressive leader. So I feel like if it comes to the India, Satyajit Dada, he can be leaders who can take the India for 50 years away to build a strong nation and healthy nation. And same thing goes with the Neeraj, because Neeraj at the age of 23 he become the state representative. He can also I feel we need to promote the young and youth in the more a higher platform even in the politics or the social platform or even in the business. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suraj. You have actually come across with a lot of points, and सत्यजीत जी, नीरज जी, आपको ये जरूर बताना चाहती हूँ, एक सॉलिड सपोर्टर वोटर आपके पास हमेशा खड़ा रहेगा सूरज जी में, आज हमें यहाँ दिख रहा है. But some very important points that you spoke about, and I think those are a few points that the youth can today who are in active leadership remember when we're working towards making India a superpower and retaining all the talent that we have within our country. Unfortunately, due to the lack of time, we are going to come to the last round of questions, which is a very, very simple question for each one of you. And I'm going to start with Sanam Arora ji. At a very young age, you seem to have achieved a lot already, but I'm sure there's a plan for the future. What is that plan for the future, and where are we going to see Miss Sanam Arora in the next 10 years?
I wish I knew the answer to that, Rishika. I have no idea. And I don't plan, there's actually an Indian film, I don't remember which one, but I remember Akshay Kumar once saying everything is planned. That could well be the case. In my case, I haven't really planned anything per se. What I do know is that the journey that I've had so far is only the beginning, as it is with everyone on this panel, I'm sure. It's very difficult to plan out, and there's a lot of people who do this actually. I'm going to do this in a year, I'm going to do this in 2 years, I'm going to do this in 5 years. That's all important, and I don't degrade that in any shape or form, and it's important to have a plan. But I think what's more important is to have goals, and those goals must be based upon the sort of values and principles that, for example, Dr. Tambe spoke of earlier, which is, what do you actually want to achieve? And for me, it is all about being authentic to myself and really deliver on some of the things that I feel very strongly about. So I feel very strongly about, for example, ensuring that more and more young people get into politics and removing the stigma from politics, because there is a bit of a stigma, particularly in Indian minds, about what politics is and what politics stands for. Well, actually, politics is life. It's as simple as that. And so there are a lot of these, I'd like to say there are a lot of these statements and a lot of things that I'm not happy with about our society. For example, I don't like the fact that capitalism is functioning in a way today, whereas Siddharth was saying earlier, healthcare has been, not looked upon kindly very much, right? And then it's now we're stood in this position of COVID, and we don't have enough hospitals, or we don't have enough, we don't already have a vaccine ready to go. So there are things like healthcare and education where when you think about it, you're like, those are the two most important things to life. And yet the percentage that our country spends on both of those things is negligible, right? Yet the way our systems exist, the way capitalism exists, resources don't get allocated enough to healthcare and education. How on earth has that system developed? We need to, so for me, a goal is to ensure conscious capitalism. And I don't know when I'll get there, and I don't necessarily know how I'll get there, but the goal for me is to ensure that we start to live in a world that's conscious and that can do well by doing good. A goal for me is to ensure that I give back to my family, because we talk about giving back to the country and we talk about giving back to our communities. How many of us talk about ensuring, actively talk about it? I'm not saying feel it, but I'm saying remind ourselves every day that we have a family, we have parents we've got to give back to. If I'm sitting here today talking about female empowerment and youth development, it's because I have a dad and a mom sitting behind me who've enabled all of this to happen, right? Who've enabled me to get to a position where I can achieve things, and where I can hopefully inspire one or two people to achieve something of their own. So for me, it's about ensuring a safe and secure future for them, for example, and giving back to my family. For me, it's also about sort of imbibing a sense of resilience in people. And I think, if anything, COVID has taught us that we need a world that is more resilient. We need people to be more resilient. And what do I mean by resilience? I mean having a sense of purpose, a sense of inner strength, and a sense of being kind to each one around us. Now, I saw a tweet, little video that went viral. I'm hoping many of you have also seen, about this little Baba Ka Dhaba in Delhi a couple of days ago, and how the entire citizenry of Delhi came about together to ensure that Baba doesn't cry again, and that he has a steady flow of customers. And I saw how Zomato then said, we're listing Baba on our delivery platform, and etc. I like the fact that my fellow Delhiites and my fellow Indians did that. We spotted that. We all came together. We made that happen. But why can't we all come together and ensure that there is no other such Baba Ka Dhaba in the city, or all over the country? And that, this sort of focus on local communities and on our local infrastructure, if the system doesn't do it for us, we got to do it ourselves. So I'm just all about my journey, wherever it goes and whenever this happens, but as soon as possible, making some little contribution to some of those principles that I spoke about, and hoping that I'm able to make whatever little difference. And I went to a school called Springdales in Delhi, and my school's motto was Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a family. And that's the one thing that I want to spread around the world in whatever little way I can. And those Indian values must go global as quickly as possible, and local as well.
Thank you, Ms. Arora. Very well said once again. And like you, I think after your little talk, I have come to at least this conclusion, that the youth of India, or the youth of the world today, have a few basic principles in place which run common, since at least 3 of you out of the panel of 5 have spoken about trust, about authenticity, about resilience. And I think these are something that is imbibed in our generation anyway. It's about getting it out in the right way and using it in the right way. So thank you, Ms. Arora. I want to move to Mr. Mukne. Sir, being in the field that you have been, you have achieved a lot, and you've shared a lot of that with us today as well. What is the future like, and what are the 3 giveaways you would give to the youth watching you today to be successful in the field of business?
Thank you, Jessica. I think for the immediate future, I have got 3 goals. I don't, as some say, I don't give as a long goals, but I think immediate goals. One is that first thing I need, because the now new scenario has been created about not businesses are favoring going to China. So I would like to take this opportunity to divert them to India. So that, but I hope the Indian government and Indian infrastructure will help me to bring more and more businesses to India. That is one, definitely one. The second, about my social side, I want to create the umbrella charity to support small charities, particularly in India. I feel that large charities are getting the support anyway, but there are many small charities of different in area, different sectors are working really hard, and they are really. I've seen many of the stories and met many of the people, and I thought they need more support as per from my side, whatever are the best I can do for them. So I'm creating the umbrella charity. For every year, I'm taking 4 charities, 2 from India, 2 from UK, and providing the platform and create the awareness across the best of my capacity. The third particular goal I'm trying to reach out is, so I want to reach out to the youths in India and to help out directly to them rather than talking through the online and other thing. But once the things get settled down, I want to make sure that every visit, because I visit India at least 3 to 4 times every year. So I think 1 or 2 visits, I want to make sure that I will spend at least a week to spend with the different colleges or schools or youths, and to create awareness and to help them the best possible way. So these are the 3 areas I'm looking at the moment. The best way, I think, what I can advise to the businesses as first thing is that is hardworking, is everybody says that, and we all know that is a value, because not every person is intelligent. But I think even intelligent people, I don't see many intelligent people get successful because there is no hard work behind it. So hard work is the key thing for that. But as I mentioned, that is that not too afraid to see the big dreams, and but to just follow the right path to get to your dreams, and that's the most important thing. And have the friends who can support you, but don't expect from everybody. It's all about what you are giving to them rather than what they are giving to you. So it is kind of a mutual benefit and support for the businesses. Have the people around you who can support your goal, and that is a key thing for your success.
Thank you so much, Siddharji. Very quickly, Dr. Suraj, to you, what does your future look like? Are we going to see you back in India again?
That might be true, but what I would like to say first, like, Sanam Aroraji says that, the Akshay Kumar's movie, the Ajnabi, and he said that everything is planned. But for me, the reason I'm saying that one, because at the end, he lost all the insurance money. So my life is, everything is not planned, but I have goals like you. So my first goal is like, be a businessman. That's one thing. And then second is open a training center or platform which will help the youth in India to get quality of education, also help to improve their skills and confidence to launch their own startups in India. The second one is like, as Rishika ji said, I'm become a global coordinator for the Jaihind people movements and their initiatives, along with my dear friend Sandeep, and then global coordinator Kishore Dadaji, my very good brother, as I can say, Ashok Dadaji, then Raju Gade, Pradeep Naye, and all other leaders. I want to take like, these initiatives with them at every corner of the world and open this platform for the common, unprivileged, and tribal people. Our founder, Dr. Tambe Sahib, is a visionary leader. He's a progressive leader, and I am confident that we'll achieve those dreams soon. Dr. Tambe Sahib created a legacy and platform for youths and every human being, and we need to take that one at the next level. Thank you. That's my goal, and that's my future plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Suraj. And to end this session with a bang, we obviously want to know, Satyajit ji, you have had a tremendous career already at a very young age, and India is looking forward to your political future. What are your plans, sir, personally? And we, as the youth of the country, definitely want to know the youth of this country.
So basically, as everyone here has said, that things are not planned. You have to have some goals in life, and you have to follow those goals and passion and dreams. Like Sanam has said, and even Suraj has said. Uh, I would like to say that the topic which was of a discussion today, world is flat, and I'm very happy to see people, uh, someone like Sanam, who is from Delhi and leading a students movement in UK. Someone like Suraj, who's from Sangamner, and now after listening to Suraj, I can see some Indo-American politician coming up. So so and we are hoping to see a Indo-American vice president very soon, Suraj there. So let's see what happens. But I'm sure that there are a lot of opportunities coming up for Indian youth, and I personally feel my motive of my complete political career was always to create more leaders. I've tried my level best to create as many as leaders I could, because the real leader is one who create leaders and not the followers. This is said, and I would like to create more young leaders, uh, not only in Maharashtra but wherever I can support them. Because like you people know that I volunteered in 2016 elections in US, and I've seen what kind of mature democracy America has. I personally feel that whatever problems we are discussing here in India, I think the only solution is to have a matured uh, voters in India, and to create that matured voters is to create a mature democracy. I think it is a continuous process, and we'll have to focus on it, because whatever problems we discuss, it will just be a discussion if we don't convert these problems into some realistic solution. I volunteered in 2016 elections. Almost 80% of people in US are basically either hardcore Republicans or hard Democrats, or maybe, and it's just about swing votes, that where the election goes. And in India, if we see that majority of our voters, they decide whom to vote when they go to the polling station, rather not only polling station, but when they press the button of the voting machine, they decide whom to vote. And this is the sad part of Indian democracy. So I think we should create more mature democratic system, and to create that more mature democratic system, we need more and more youth leaders to come up and take the positions, take the responsibility, take their part of responsibility in this process. So as you all know that we are working on one project called Super 1000, which is a youth Congress project in Maharashtra, where we are thinking of creating 1000 young men and women who can contest local body elections. We will groom them, we will mentor them, we will help them so that they become future leaders. So I think we need to work on such lines. This is what I feel. I would like to also, at a closing note, I would also like to thank complete um, global coordinators team of Jaihind People's Movement, because Jaihind People's Movement has now taken a shape where it is really a global. I can see people from Australia to United States coming and joining this movement. I think this is a need of an hour, that we come together for a better democratic values. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tambe. It has been an absolute pleasure for me, Rishika Raka, to be the moderator of this panel discussion. And while we come to the end, I'd like to do just two simple things. Firstly, thank all our speakers, Mr. Anthani, Mr. Tambe, Ms. Arora, Mr. Mukne, and Dr. Suraj. Thank you so very much for joining us. We touched upon some very important values and principles that we all discussed we need to have as the youths. And Mr. Mukne gave us some real good insights into how we can get over the COVID-19 times and what can we do as youngsters to sustain our businesses in the upcoming arena as well. Once again, all of you, thank you so very much for joining us here. I'm sure हमारे जो युवा आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, आप सभी को बहुत सारी महत्वपूर्ण बातें सुनने मिली होगी और आपका तो जानती नहीं, पर मैं यहाँ मेरे घर बैठे बैठे जरूर इंस्पायर हो गई हूँ कि मेरी छोटी मोटी पॉलिटिकल जर्नी में और आगे इतनी तेजी से बढ़ने की इच्छा है इन सब की बातें सुनकर. Thank you so much for joining us here, to all the panelists, and we'd now like to move on to two other students who we have here with us. The first being Chris Armstrong. Chris Armstrong is a PhD student at the Wayne State University, USA. He is also an active member of the most famous American Chemical Society and received numerous awards. He does philanthropy works for nonprofit Grace Center for Hope Foundation. He's very passionate and vocal about education and youth empowerment. Christopher, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. If you could please sum up your speech in about 4 to 5 minutes and connect with the global youth sitting and watching you tonight.
Certainly. Thank you. As stated, my name is Christopher Armstrong, and I first want to just say thank you to the Jaihind People's Movement founder, Dr. Tambe, for this opportunity. It means a lot to me to share my life experiences with you. As stated, I am a grad student from Michigan at Wayne State. My research, has provided me the chance to bring change to the world of medicine. Though my role may be small currently, it will help me blossom into a better scientist. With this opportunity, I hope to work in industry to develop medication that can empower the quality of life for many people. As a young adult, I find it important to talk about my struggles and problems. Like all Americans, I like to be opinionated and voice my grievances. It's through these talks, though, that I've been able to learn and grow as a man. Though I am young, I've had some troubling experiences that have made me doubt my abilities. During these times, I felt helpless and nowhere to go. However, what gave me the strength to pull through was the help around me. Far too often, we forget about the good people around us and instead focus on the bad. Far too often, we blame others for our shortcomings, which divides us further. If we want to empower ourselves as young adults here in the US and abroad, we need to see the beauty in humanity. We should be grateful for the opportunities we're given in life because sometimes we only get a few. For me, youth empowerment is about honest, thoughtful discussion. We need to listen to those we don't necessarily agree with and come to an understanding. Agreement is not always important, but a sense of understanding is. If we are to make the world better, we need to focus on bettering ourselves first. One example is through charity. For example, here in Detroit, we are known to have very cold winters, and that can be troubling for the homeless population. One problem that they face in particular is a lack of shoes and clothing. A nonprofit, Grace Centers for Hope, provided community outreach to give shoes and clothing to those that are less fortunate. Today, it is one of the largest homeless shelters and providers in southeastern Michigan, which I was fortunate enough to be a part of. A simple mission statement, united a community and a good cause. It is charities and movements such as this in the Jaihind People's Movement that enable thoughtful discussion to better the world for tomorrow. Youth empowerment is about giving back to the community to help raise you to be the person you are today. The world is flat. The metaphor is used by Thomas Friedman to describe the next phase of globalization is ingenious. It came to him after hearing an Indian software executive explain how the world's economic playing field was being leveled. For a variety of reasons, what economists call barriers to entry are being destroyed. Today, an individual or company anywhere can collaborate or compete globally. In his book, The World is Flat, Friedman argues that due to a surprising and lightning quick convergence of technologies, individuals, not just countries and companies, can now communicate from anywhere to anywhere, collaborating and competing for the first time on a level playing field. It can't be ignored that there are social and economic inequalities and social prejudices, but you should demand those to be addressed by government and policymakers. Today's youth should be broad-minded enough and expand their horizon. We should look at the brighter picture. There are opportunities everywhere. Youngsters today need to be open to it. Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity to speak, and take care.
Thank you so much, Christopher. It was great to hear from you, to understand your points on youth empowerment, as well as the whole concept of the world is flat. Let's now quickly move on to Mr. Arifur Rahman from Bangladesh. He's here with us today. He works as an assistant professor at the Jagannath University in Bangladesh. Besides, he also serves as an advisor of Jagannath University Society, Student Society, and co-advisor of the BRAC University Society. To aid the rural community and help the people in need, a social welfare organization called An Association Belongs to Earnest Guidance for Helpless is extending its philanthropic activities since 2009, where Mr. Rahman is involved as an executive committee member. Today, he's here with us today to share his thoughts on youth empowerment. Mr. Rahman, we welcome you on the dais to sum up your speech in about 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello India, hello world. I'm Arifur Rahman from Bangladesh. First of all, I would like to express my heartiest gratitude towards the Jaihind People's Movement, especially Dr. Sudhir Tambe and Dr. Gavande for inviting me to this virtual global conference and giving me the opportunity to talk about one of the world's most vital topic, which is youth empowerment. Youth is considered as the backbone of a nation. In parallel, it is the most viable and potential human resources in population and social structure of a country. But unfortunately, a vast majority of this section remains unreached. Because of the societal conservatism, huge potentialities often remain neglected. Lack of opportunities for skills development, technology-driven education, and access to resources preventing this important section from contributing in the process of economic development and elevating poverty. Developed countries have progressed well, and they did so by breaking the shackles of their religious conservatism and tradition, and they showed in the wings of science, rationality, and critical thinking. It is the youth in those countries who led from the forefront in their respective era. If we do not rescue the youth from the grip of growing communal hatred, intolerance, and irrationality, many South Asian young population and demographic dividend would be a wasted opportunity. The report from Global Business Coalition for Education, the Education Commission, and the United Nations Children's Fund states that approximately 54% of South Asian youth who are living in school will lack the necessary skills to find a decent job by 2030. The data also suggests that more than 50% of the youth are not on track to have the education and necessary skills for the employment by 2030, which is also very alarming for our nations. To me, South Asia is at a critical juncture with a limited window during which it can reap significant demographic dividends from its talented and capable youth. Get it right, and millions could be lifted out of poverty. If we fail to do so, the economic growth will falter, youth disappear will rise, and further talent will be lost to other regions. To overcome the grip in youth skills of South Asia requires government investment, commitment from the business community, contribution from the civil society, and most importantly, the perspective of young people to best equip the next generation for the successful entry into the rapidly changing job market. Last but not the least, many people around the world, including Bangladesh, follow the world's most famous peace leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, and Muhammad Ali. Jaihind People's Movement is uplifting its spirit on a global scale, which fascinates me the most. I'm very glad to see that JPM is bringing together people across the globe through this conference under the theme Coming Together for Peace, Harmony, and Progress. Thank you all. See you at the next conference. Until then, take care and stay safe during this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahman. With this, we're nearing the end of this particular session of the conference. I would once again like to thank all the panelists that we had on our panel discussion, along with the two students we met towards the end of this session, Mr. Andani, Mr. Tambe, Ms. Arora, Mr. Siddharth, Dr. Gawande, Arifur Rahman, and Christopher. You guys have been a pleasure to be, for me to be the host of tonight. And a few things that I take back from this session is what I would like to highlight. इन्होंने सबसे बड़ी बातें युवाओं के लिए ये बताई कि हमारे कुछ जिंदगी में उसूल होने चाहिए, उसूलों के साथ जीने से हमारे जो गोल्स हैं लाइफ में उनको हम अचीव कर पाएंगे। इन सभी ने इनके जो हमारे साथ एक्टिव पॉलिटिक्स में हैं, उन्होंने उनकी स्ट्रगल्स के बारे में बताया। उसी के साथ साथ मुखने जी ने बिजनेस में जो स्ट्रगल्स आ रही हैं फिलहाल, उनके बारे में बताया। मिस सनम अरोरा जी जो डुअल लाइफ आज जी रही हैं इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर बन के, उसी के साथ साथ सोसाइटी को फिर से उनके डेडिकेशन के साथ गिविंग बैक टू द सोसाइटी, दैट इज समथिंग दैट शी स्पोक अबाउट. And Dr. Gawande, being somebody who hails from Sangamner and sits in New York now, spoke about his journey and all the great things that India can do and can become a superpower in the near future. Once again, I would love to thank everybody, the Jaihind People's Movement, Dr. Sudhir Tambe ji, and everyone who is organizing this conference. Thank you so very much for having me as your moderator, and I hand over the mic back to Ms. Utkarsha Rupavde. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Extremely inspiring and insightful session indeed of the journey of these young leaders and extremely talented individuals. One thing that I find common across all these individuals is their strong rootedness in their origins, aware of where you come from and a clear vision of where you want to head, and that you're proud of your history as an individual and as a country, as a community. As Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said, they cannot make history who forget history. So we keeping our history intact and moving ahead to make history, we wish all the very best to these leaders to create history in their respective fields. With this, we come to the end of the 7th of our session today, and we move on to our next session tomorrow, that is the 11th of October. That would be our concluding session for this virtual global conference. 2 sessions lined up, power packed again, and we have for you tomorrow the first session that starts at 7 o'clock Indian time, how India can become a superpower in sports. And we have with us tomorrow Kedar Lele, Anjali Bhagwat, Sheetal Mahajan, Pooja Rani, Kamlesh Mehta, and many talented people like them. The second session would be on a healthy village, where we speak about model villages and experiments that have happened in India and across the world. We have with us Popat Rao Pawar, Chandrakant Dalvi, and videos from a lot of other countries with us. So on behalf of the Jaihind People's Movement, I thank you all for joining us today again, and I invite you to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp. Till then, take care, stay healthy, and stay happy. We end this session again with the National Anthem of India. I request all our esteemed people on the dais and our participants across the globe to please rise for the National Anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे